Chapter 1096. Pu Mao also calmed down and looked at Ning Qing with even more eagerness. If Ning Qing really was Perpetual Moon's successor, then he might have a chance to leave this place. At this time, Ning Qing once again asked about the third step of Tao confirming. He replied in a serious tone, "The third step of Tao confirming is to integrate the Tao of heaven and earth into one, and then condense your own law world. This is the first realm of the third step, the world creation realm. Ji Fengyu could reach the third step because he condensed his own world, but what?" Ning Qing quickly asked. If Ji Fengyu truly left behind the time wilderness, then the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor should have already fallen. How could a third step Tao confirming expert fall? Ning Qing's heart surged with waves of shock. If a third step Tao confirming expert could fall, then who could survive? Pu Mao hesitated for a moment, but Ning Qing quickly asked. He simply said, "The information I got might not be completely accurate. I heard that the battle between the third step powerhouses affected countless positional boundaries. According to people who came later, many positional boundaries laws were incomplete, and the universe no longer had a third step holy emperor. Ji Fengyu was a third step powerhouse and also participated in that battle. I don't know the outcome of the battle, but I heard that Ji Fengyu suffered heavy losses, and the law world he condensed completely shattered. The law of time and the law of space ended up in low-level positional boundaries. The reason why Wu Lin thought that you were Perpetual Moon's successor was that the law of time spirit technique you displayed had a hint of the Sea of Twilight." After Ning Qing heard these words, he was even more shocked in his heart. He finally understood what the time wilderness was. The time wilderness, to put it bluntly, was just a condensation of the laws of time from the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor's world. Moreover, his sunset's twilight was just a corner of the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor's supreme spirit technique, the Sea of Twilight. Moreover, the Sea of Twilight within the time wilderness did not originally exist. It was just a manifestation of the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor's spirit technique. From this, it showed how powerful the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor was. Since the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor's law of time Tao charm could turn into the time wilderness, then the laws of space could also turn into a world. Ning Qing instantly thought of the space crystal he obtained. At this moment, he felt almost 90% sure that it was the traceless gate of Demon Domain's traceless immortal pond. Even a powerhouse like the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor had his world broken, and his Tao charm transformed into countless law domains. His ability was just like the light of a firefly. While the two of them were talking, Pu Mao had already brought Ning Qing to a huge public square. The light in the square was slightly dimmer. Around the square, there were some immortals' cave residences arranged using magic treasures. "That person is Faze, the one who took your ring." Pu Mao pointed to a blue-haired man in the distance and spoke to Ning Qing. He did not continue to ask if Ning Qing was Perpetual Moon's successor. Regardless of whether he was or not, Ning Qing was worth befriending since he could scare away Wu Lin with his Tao transformation cultivation. Originally, by bringing Ning Qing to this place, he had already completed his task. But now, in order to make friends with Ning Qing, he did not leave this place. Ning Qing also saw Fess in the distance. Fess was accompanied by 7 or 8 people. From the looks of it, this fellow had formed a small group here. Thinking of a group of second-step Tao confirming powerhouses forming a group here, just like street thugs, Ning Qing secretly found it funny. He did not look for Fei Si immediately. Instead, he continued to ask, "Tao friend Pu, why is that Wu Lin so much stronger than you? Not only is he stronger than you, but he's also stronger than most people." Pu Mao spoke with disdain. "Isn't it because he has the 5 elements chaos world? That madman Ji Fengyu does not allow any living world to exist here. Whether it is a miniature world or a true spirit world, they would all be squeezed into nothingness in this place. Only a world that surpasses the 5 elements chaos laws can exist here. I don't know what method Wu Lin used to conceal his 5 elements chaos world, but Ji Fengyu did not discover it. Later on, when others ran out of spirit crystals and their essence qi gradually depleted, he managed to preserve his strength in his 5 elements chaos world. His 5 elements chaos world has only recently formed, and it's not even perfect yet. Relying on the 5 elements chaos world for so many years without any law crystals to replenish it, Wu Lin's strength has started to decline, just like us. Ning Qing felt secretly shocked. Fortunately, he did not take out his true spirit world. Fortunately, Yan Ji could enter the mysterious yellow bead. Otherwise, if the laws shattered it, he would not even have the chance to rescue her. The laws of the mysterious yellow bead far surpassed the 5 elements chaos world. No matter how powerful Ji Fengyu was, he could not use the laws here to affect his mysterious yellow bead. At this time, Fei Si and the others had already seen Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's Dao charm flowed clearly, and his essence, qi, and vitality were exuberant. These people who stayed behind in the Perpetual Moon sect immediately understood that Ning Cheng had just arrived. Although Ning Cheng's cultivation had not reached the second step, no matter how many good things a newly arrived sacred emperor had, not many people would be willing to talk to him. Come on, let's go and take a look. As for the other realms of the third step, I'll ask you later. Ning Cheng walked towards Fei Si. Fei Si and the others saw Ning Cheng walking over and knew that Ning Cheng had come to find them. Therefore, before Ning Cheng could approach them, they took the initiative to walk towards Ning Cheng. Even before the two sides got close, most people already knew about it. For a time, many figures appeared around the public square. These people couldn't cultivate here, and they could only come and go in such a small space. It wasn't wrong to say that they were sitting here and waiting for death. One could say that these people had long since become bored to death. Now that there was a show to watch, everyone naturally wouldn't miss it. There were not many people here who were afraid of threatening them with death. Other than a few experts who had hidden themselves very deeply and had some foundation, no one was afraid of death. You're called Fei Si? Ning Cheng looked at Fei Si and stopped in front of him. Fei Si had blue hair, and his eyes also had a blue tint that gave off a strange glow. Although he had lost the luster of his Dao charm, he still wasn't weak. His current strength should be higher than Pu Mao's. However, compared to Wu Lin, Fei Si should still be a bit weaker. According to Ning Cheng's guess, Fei Si's cultivation should have dropped to around the Dao transformation realm. Fei Si said calmly, "Are you new here? Do you know that newcomers have to share spirit crystals with everyone? Do you know that I have many brothers, so you want to share some spirit crystals with me?" Was this something a primordial chaos sacred emperor would say? Ning Cheng almost choked on his words. Why did he feel like he had met a small leader? Fei Si's words made Ning Cheng speechless. His words had indeed worked. Everyone's eyes fell on Ning Cheng. If Ning Cheng was new, then he must have a lot of spirit crystals on him. Although no one said that newcomers had to share spirit crystals with other cultivators, no one refuted Fei Si's words. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, "Fellow Dao friends, I'm indeed new here. I chased after a seriously injured Dao Essence Sacred Emperor and ended up killing him, causing him to fall into the Perpetual Moon sect. This Dao Essence Sacred Emperor had a ring on him. I originally planned to share all the crystal stones in the ring with everyone, but I didn't expect someone to snatch my loot and take the ring away. Fei Si was the one who snatched the ring. When I get the ring back, I will definitely share the crystal stones with everyone." None of the people here were weak. Even if they had been exhausted for tens of millions of years, Ning Cheng didn't dare to underestimate them. If Fei Si really instigated these people, then he would be in deep trouble. Ning Cheng's words sounded like a lie, but no one cared about it. As long as Ning Cheng handed over the ring and let everyone share it, it would be fine. As for the lies, who cared? Fei Si snorted when he saw that he couldn't incite everyone to deal with Ning Cheng. He raised his hand and brought out a huge drum. Before seeing Ning Cheng, he had been a little worried. After all, someone who could kill an early-stage Dao Essence Sacred Emperor had to be a Dao Essence Sacred Emperor. But now that he saw that Ning Cheng only had a Dao transformation cultivation, his worry disappeared. Even if he had exhausted his essence qi, he was still a primordial chaos expert. Fei Si brought out the big drum. Before he could even use any spirit techniques, the drum sounds trembled slightly, creating a circle of sound light attack Dao runes around him. "Everyone, let's go together and finish this as soon as possible." Fei Si finished speaking, and the first drum sound Dao rune blasted out. Boom! The powerful sound light Dao rune ignored Ning Cheng's domain and directly bombarded Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness. Ning Cheng felt his entire head buzzing, and the nomological Dao runes around him started to shake and loosen. So strong. Ning Cheng was secretly shocked. The everlasting blue thunder city in his sea of consciousness immediately condensed and blocked the powerful drum sound bombardment. Fei Si's spiritual consciousness and spirit essence had declined, but his comprehension of the Tao hadn't declined. If this attack bombarded Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness, Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness would collapse if he wasn't careful. However, Fei Si's spirit essence and Tao runes had clearly declined too much, and Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness was too strong. The drum sound, which could have exploded Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness, only slightly injured Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness. When the other 7 or 8 people took out their magic treasures, Ning Cheng also attacked. The strongest person here was Fei Si. The others were at best on the same level as Pu Mao, or even weaker. These second-step Dao transformation divine emperors with powerful foundations, no matter how much their cultivation had declined, could still restrain an ordinary Dao transformation divine emperor. Ning Cheng wasn't an ordinary Dao transformation divine emperor. After the drum sound, he used his spirit technique, none to depend on. Against these old guys who had been trapped for countless years, intense spirit techniques were the most effective. Endless yellow sand rolled up, and an ancient path filled with nostalgia appeared at the end of the yellow sand. Was the person leading the skinny horse on the ancient path a friend? Or a lover? None to depend on, yellow sand rose. There was a skinny horse on the west wind ancient road, relying on each other for a long time with tears. None to depend on, don't abandon your heart. Looking at each other from afar, it's better to turn around and leave each other. Dao runes rolled out of the endless yellow sand and swept through the entire space. A few cultivators whose cultivation had declined to almost nothing burst into tears. They were all filled with melancholy, and they no longer had the strength to take out their magic treasures. The Dao runes of sadness and parting filled the air. At this moment, the void cold light spears swept up countless cold spear intents and appeared in front of Fei Si. Ning Cheng wasn't interested in killing those with weak cultivation. The reason he killed Fei Si was because of that ring. Boom! Fei Si's giant drum stopped in front of Ning Cheng's void cold light spear, and a dull explosion sounded. The drum's Dao runes also spread out at this moment, and Ning Cheng's none to depend on spirit technique instantly weakened. The west wind ancient road and the skinny horse disappeared, and the dimly lit square remained in front of him. Chapter 1097. Fei Si flew backwards and threw a ring at Ning Cheng. This is the Dao Essence Sacred Emperor's Ring. I'll return it to you now. Count it, there are 16 million God crystals and 6 high-grade God spiritual veins. I didn't touch them at all. Just the none to depend on sacred art alone was enough for him to know that Ning Cheng wasn't someone to be trifled with. Fei Si felt sad in his heart. He was a primordial essence sacred emperor, but he couldn't beat Ning Cheng. Since when did a primordial essence sacred emperor have to steal a Dao essence sacred emperor's ring? Ning Cheng didn't make a move after Fei Si handed over the ring. He and Fei Si didn't have any deep enmity, not to mention that they were stranded in this place. Fei Si admitted defeat and handed over the ring, so there was no need for him to be aggressive. As for how many God crystals Fei Si said, it was obviously to trick Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wanted to distribute these God crystals to everyone. If Ning Cheng wasn't willing to take them out, even if no one came to find trouble with Ning Cheng wouldn't be popular here anymore. Ning Cheng didn't care about Fei Si's tricks. He didn't even ask how many God crystals and God spiritual veins Fei Si left behind. His spiritual consciousness seeped into the ring and saw that the piles of materials weren't touched. The God spiritual herbs and God crystals were obviously not touched. Ning Cheng scanned through tens of thousands of jade slips with his spiritual consciousness, but he didn't see any jade slips about the true young heart. Ning Cheng put down the ring in disappointment. He stared at Fei Si and asked, I killed this person for the whereabouts of the true young heart. Why did the jade slip containing the whereabouts of the true young heart disappear? This sentence was completely Fei Si's. Ning Cheng didn't know if the ring contained the whereabouts of the true young heart. True young heart. Fei Si was stunned by Ning Cheng's words. He wouldn't care even if a true young heart was placed in front of him, let alone a jade slip containing the whereabouts of the true young heart. Dao friend Ning, I'm sure of this. Fei Si definitely left a jade slip with the whereabouts of the true young heart. This is the Jiaoliang Mountain, and there are many places in the Jiaoliang Mountain that have the true young heart. Many people know about this, so there's really no need. Although Pu Mao did not like Fei Si, he would not lie through his teeth. Ning Qing did not care that his words would cause people to despise him, as he quickly asked, Jiaoliang Mountain, are there any other places with true young hearts? I only know of the 10,000 Needles Lake and the Fiery Sun Forest. Pu Mao replied. At this time, another person in the crowd said, the Nine Origins Ice Cave also has a true young heart. Dao friend, when did you get those spirit crystals? Others could not even get a single true young heart, but Jiaoliang Mountain actually had so many. What the primordial chaos experts were concerned about was not the quintessential yang core, but when the 1 or 200,000 divine crystals would be distributed. Many thanks, but why does the Jiaoliang Mountain have so many true young hearts? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. Seeing that Ning Cheng had no intention of finding trouble with him, Fei Si felt slightly relieved in his heart. Although he returned the ring to Ning Cheng, he kept at least a quarter of the spirit crystals. Now that Ning Cheng didn't question him, it meant that the other party really didn't come here for the spirit crystals. If he had known about this earlier, he wouldn't have pointed out the number of spirit crystals in the ring. Thinking of this, Fei Si took the initiative to say, there used to be 9 sun stars on the top of the Jiaoliang Mountain. These 9 sun stars were affected by the battle and were either blasted away or shattered. The sun star on the Jiaoliang Mountain absorbed the true yang aura all year round and condensed all the true yang hearts. At least 5 or 6 of them landed in various places on the Jiaoliang Mountain. The 10,000 Needles Lake, the Fiery Sun Forest, and the 9 Origins Ice Cave are all places where the true young hearts landed. How do you know? Ning Cheng thought to himself that the people here had been locked up for many years. During the battle between the Third Step Almighties, they might still be locked up here. After that battle, many people came to the Jiaoliang Mountain in search of treasures. This news was brought in by others, Pu Mao replied. So that was the case. Ning Cheng knew that he had to consider how to get out now. Thinking about the sacred emperors here, be it knowledge or strength, none of them were weak. Ning Cheng didn't continue to ask about other things. Fellow Taoists, my name is Ning Cheng. I came here by accident. Now, there are 15 million divine crystals and 6 high-grade divine spirit meridians in this ring. My idea is that witnesses get a share. Each person gets 200,000 divine crystals and a section of divine spirit meridian. As for those who didn't come, you can still get a share if you come here. Ning Cheng raised the ring in his hand and said loudly. Regardless of whether these people could get out or not, he used some divine crystals to befriend these second-step Dao confirming sacred emperors. There would only be benefits. If they were outside, not to mention 200,000 divine crystals, even 20 million divine crystals would only be enough to say a few words to a primordial chaos sacred emperor. Using divine crystals to befriend a primordial chaos sacred emperor was a joke in itself. After saying that, Ning Cheng removed his disguise. Since we are all friends, it would be stingy to disguise myself. After spending so many divine crystals to befriend him, Ning Cheng naturally didn't want to hide his identity. Everyone knew what Ning Cheng meant, and no one objected. No matter what it meant, divine crystals were the real deal. Ning Cheng wanted everyone to accept this favor, and everyone also accepted it. Dao friend Ning, this is the map of the Jiaoliang Mountain. It has the markings of the 10,000 Needle Lake, Fiery Sun Forest, and 9 Origins Ice Cave. As Ning Cheng finished speaking, the atmosphere in the square suddenly heated up. Several sacred emperors even stuffed jade strips into Ning Cheng's hands. I have a special jade strip for the 9 Origins Ice Cave. This is my cultivation experience. I have gained a lot of insights from the Dao charm on the Perpetual Moon Gates boulder. This is my Insights Dao strip. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng had more than a dozen jade strips in his hands. Ning Cheng also didn't hesitate to give out 15 million divine crystals and a few divine spirit meridians. There were only 40 people in the square, and he couldn't distribute all the divine crystals. However, he had said that it didn't matter if they were late. They could directly go to him for divine crystals. Ning Cheng's actions didn't go in vain. The most conspicuous place in the Perpetual Moon Gate's square became his cave residence. Not only that, but Ning Cheng's actions almost made him the most popular person in the entire Perpetual Moon Gate. No matter who it was, no matter what kind of powerhouse they were, they would all greet Ning Cheng when they saw him. Many powerhouses didn't even wait for Ning Cheng to take the initiative to ask before giving Ning Cheng a copy of their spirit techniques and insights. After living in the Perpetual Moon Gate for more than 10 days, Ning Cheng not only gave away the original 15 million divine crystals but also put in a few million himself. At the same time, Ning Cheng also learned that the only way out of the Perpetual Moon Gate was the Perpetual Moon Abyss. Not only did he know that the Perpetual Moon Abyss was the only way out of the Perpetual Moon Gate, but he also knew that the reason why there weren't any Tao Perfection powerhouses inside was because all Tao Perfection powerhouses had left the Perpetual Moon Abyss. Ning Cheng looked at Pang Yuan, the old man who explained the Perpetual Moon Gate's exit to the Perpetual Moon Abyss, and asked in confusion, since Tao Perfection powerhouses can go out, why don't Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors give it a try? What if they manage to get out? Pang Yuan was a veteran Primordial Chaos Holy Emperor. When Ji Fengyu left him in the Perpetual Moon Gate, he only had a little more than 10 million years left. Now that he had spent so many years in the Perpetual Moon Gate, regardless of whether he had spirit crystals or not, as long as he couldn't reach Tao Perfection in the next few 100,000 years, he would probably die of old age in the Perpetual Moon Gate. Because he was old and had a lot of knowledge, Ning Cheng pulled him over to ask about the Perpetual Moon Gate's exit. Pang Yuan shook his head. Those Tao Perfection Holy Emperors did go out, but it didn't take many years for them to come back. The only difference is that what came back were incomplete skeletons. The Perpetual Moon Abyss is filled with Tao charm, and it's hard to survive after entering. Even if some powerful Tao Perfection Holy Emperors were torn apart by the powerful Tao charm of the Perpetual Moon Abyss, some of their skeletons would still fly out. But once Holy Emperors below Tao Perfection enter, they would have nothing left. Pang Yuan spoke as if it was a joke, but Pang Yuan's eyes didn't show even half a smile. Instead, it showed a lot of sadness. Even if a Tao Perfection powerhouse wanted to pass through the Perpetual Moon Abyss, only a few skeletons would fly out. As for others, they would never be able to get out of there. Many thanks, Tao friend Pang. I'm going to check it out myself. Ning Cheng thanked him. Over the past 10 days, he had already checked the Perpetual Moon Gate countless times and asked many people here. Apart from the Perpetual Moon Abyss, which he hadn't explored, the Perpetual Moon Gate truly had no way out. Pang Yuan stood up with a smile but didn't say anything. Instead, he slowly turned around and left. Anyone who came to the Perpetual Moon Gate would go out to see if there was a way out. It wasn't unusual. To leave the Perpetual Moon Gate, more than a few Tao Perfection Holy Emperors had died in the Perpetual Moon Abyss. No one knew how many Tao Fusion powerhouses had fallen in it. The reason why he told Ning Cheng that no one below Tao Perfection could enter the Perpetual Moon Abyss without even leaving behind a single bone was because of Ning Cheng's 200,000 spirit crystals. The Perpetual Moon Abyss, the only way out of the Perpetual Moon Gate. In fact, according to the living people of the Perpetual Moon Gate, many people had entered the Perpetual Moon Abyss, but none of them could get out. At this time, Ning Cheng stood at the edge of the Perpetual Moon Abyss. In any case, he had to find out if he could get out of the Perpetual Moon Abyss. The entrance to the Perpetual Moon Abyss was under a boulder with half of it extending outwards. This boulder was also engraved with all kinds of Tao charm patterns. Ning Cheng knew that these Tao charm patterns weren't something he could study. Therefore, he didn't look at these Tao charm patterns and stood directly on the boulder. The boulder felt like a tumbling quagmire in front of it, which made it difficult to extend one's spiritual consciousness out. However, in the endless abyss below the boulder, one could only hear bursts of dull roars. This was the Perpetual Moon Abyss. Ning Cheng spent a lot of effort before he managed to penetrate it with his spiritual consciousness. Just as his spiritual sense permeated out, a burst of violent aura swept over, directly sweeping away his spiritual sense without a trace. A sharp pain erupted in his sea of consciousness, forcing Ningqing to take a few steps back. However, the spiritual consciousness he had just extended had long since disappeared. This place could even strangle one's spiritual consciousness. It would have been strange if a person could survive. Ningqing had just advanced to the Tao transformation realm, had a starry sky sea of consciousness, and cultivated a spiritual consciousness cultivation method. As for how strong his spiritual consciousness was, he knew it best. Chapter 1098. Previously, Pang Yuan had said that even Tao integration experts would die if they entered. Tao integration experts were super mighty almighties who had integrated the heaven and earth Tao. Even such a person could not pass through the perpetual moon abyss. Most likely, only a good fortune treasure like the mysterious yellow bead could allow one to pass through it safely. Perhaps he could enter the mysterious yellow bead, and then let the mysterious yellow bead take him out of this place, but Ningqing knew that it was just a dream. If he really did this, then exposing the mysterious yellow bead to a lot of people would not be a big deal. The most important thing was that he might not be able to use the mysterious yellow bead to leave this place. In the mysterious yellow bead, one would indeed be safe and sound. However, in such a place, he could not even stretch out his spiritual consciousness, so how could he know which direction the mysterious yellow bead should take? Newcomer? Do you want to go out? A voice suddenly rang out. Ningqing quickly turned around, only to see a gray-haired woman standing not far from him. Although the traces of vicissitudes on her face were obvious, one could still feel that she was once delicate and beautiful. Yes, I just arrived and want to go out. Ningqing had stayed in this place for more than 10 days and had long since come to know that there were too many strange people in the Perpetual Moon sect. Since this gray-haired woman did not know him, she most likely lived on the edge of the Perpetual Moon abyss and had never been to the public square. Hee, if you don't want to work with the black and white beard, then work with me, Chumanha. Let me take a look at your ring. Do you have the qualifications to cooperate with me? The gray-haired woman chuckled and said unhurriedly. Ningqing took a few steps back as his tone turned cold. Wu Lin wanted to see my ring and was almost killed by me. Are you sure you want to see my ring? Ningqing knew who the Black-White Su Cheng was. He was the only primordial chaos divine emperor in the entire Perpetual Moon sect who didn't study the Tao runes on the boulders or cultivate. Not only was Black-White Beard a primordial chaos sacred emperor, but he was also a top-notch array Tao expert. It was said that the confinement array he set up could trap a half-step world creation expert. Because the Black-White Beard's array Tao was very strong, many people pinned their hopes on the Black-White Beard when they were first trapped. The Black-White Beards would give them whatever they wanted. One could even say that the majority of the materials, ores, spirit crystals, and spirit veins belonging to the powerhouses of the Perpetual Moon sect ended up in the hands of the Black-White Beards. Unfortunately, even after millions of years of research, the Black and White Beards still could not find a way out, nor could they break through the Perpetual Moon Gate. You can defeat Wu Lin? Chu Manha obviously did not have enough preparation. When she heard that Ningqing was able to defeat Wu Lin, her tone suddenly showed a trace of amazement. It was not a secret that Wu Lin possessed the 5 elements primal world, which meant that he suffered the least loss in strength within the Perpetual Moon sect. Not waiting for Ningqing to answer, she once again spoke. If you can defeat Wu Lin, then I think that we really can cooperate. I need 9 high-grade God spiritual veins and 2 supreme-grade God spiritual veins. The more divine crystals there were, the better it would be. As for the refining materials, the higher the grade, the better it would be. It would be best if they could be used to refine high-grade divine artifacts. As long as you give me these things, I believe that in a few tens of thousands of years, I can break through the Perpetual Moon Gate and find the way out. Ningqing sneered in his heart. Not to mention that he did not have these things. Even if he had these things, he would not give them to this woman. He would rather believe in the black and white bearded man. The gray-haired woman seemed to see the disdain in Ningqing's eyes and spoke up without any care. If you treat the space within the Perpetual Moon Gate as a void, Then if you have the ability to tear through the void here, wouldn't you be able to leave the perpetual moon gate? Do I need you to tell me this? Ning Qing naturally knew that tearing space would allow him to leave the perpetual moon gate. If someone could tear through the space here, would they have waited until today? Someone would have torn through the space here a long time ago. To tear through the space here, I'm afraid that you would need to be at least at the half-step world creation realm. None of the people locked in the perpetual moon gate have reached the half-step world creation realm. Therefore, it is impossible to tear through the space here. In fact, as a starry sky cultivator, I'm afraid that you don't know that there are many positional planes that don't cultivate at all. They only develop science and technology. If Ning Qing didn't care about the gray-haired woman's previous words, then when the gray-haired woman spoke about developing science and technology, Ning Qing immediately paid attention to it. In fact, there were too many technological planets in the vast starry sky. Among the 4 grand starry skies, there were many technological planets. However, as Ning Qing's cultivation grew higher and higher, he found that technological planets had a bottleneck. Once a starry sky cultivator reached the Tao-confirming realm, the development of technology would come to a halt. No matter how powerful the technology was, it seemed that it couldn't stop a Tao-confirming realm powerhouse. Therefore, after reaching the Tao-confirming realm, Ning Qing rarely came into contact with things related to technology. When he used a technological starship to escape in the land of broken laws, Man Huishan could only stare at him. Perhaps Man Huishan recognized that he used a technological starship but couldn't take out such a thing. I've studied the results of technological planets. Technological planets regard the void interfaces that we talk about as multidimensional spaces. Although the distance between adjacent spaces looks very close, the truth is that these distances are distorted. If you really want to cross them, I'm afraid that you won't be able to reach the space next to you even after countless years. This doesn't even take into account the space storms and space distortions between the spaces. However, between the interfaces of multidimensional spaces, there are countless space nodes. Once you find these nodes, you can easily move from one space to another. Over the years, I've been searching for these nodes through technological means and the Tao of array formations, and I've found great results. As Chuman has spoke until here, Ning Qing's expression changed. He had studied the refinement of technological starships and read Old Man Kong He's countless technological jade strips. At the same time, he was also an expert in the Tao of array formations. Moreover, he had also studied the insights on the Tao of array formations left behind by Nianyan. If it came to the Tao of array formations alone, his current attainments in the Tao of array formations would have already reached the level of a top-grade spirit array master. Because he was proficient in these things, he felt that Chumanha's words made sense. Seeing Ning Qing shocked by her own words, Chumanha spoke up with even more pride. In fact, you can think about it. When you tear through the void from a low-level interface to another interface, do you not feel as if your heart is moving freely? It's not just because your strength has reached that level, but more importantly, you have an unconscious hunch that you know how to tear through the interface. In fact, what you tear through is the node of the void. As long as I find a void node in the perpetual moon gate space, we can get out. Tell me, am I worth it for you to take out something? As long as you give me tens of thousands of years and some materials, I can definitely find this node. Ning Qing agreed with Chumanha's statement about space nodes. However, Ning Qing didn't agree with Chumanha's statement that tearing through the void in a low-level interface was tantamount to unconsciously tearing a node. Once one's strength reached a certain level, regardless of whether one was at a node or not, one could tear through the interface. I'll take a look at the black and white beards and compare them. If you're really worth investing in, I'll invest in you. Ning Qing didn't want to give away a lot of top-grade artifact crafting materials just because of Chumanha's words. That's right, it's an investment. I'll go with you. Don't look at that old man's research time compared to mine. He definitely won't have the same results as me. Chumanha sneered when she heard that Ning Qing wanted to compare. If it were outside, even if Ning Qing took out 10 times what she offered, she wouldn't even bother to look at it. The black and white bearded man lived up to his name. Not only was his beard half black and half white, even his hair was half black and half white. When Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe walked in, he didn't even raise his head and continued refining array flags. This was the good thing about the perpetual moon gate. No matter who entered the Immortal's cave, there would be no restrictions. No one was willing to use spirit crystals to stabilize the restrictions. I just arrived, and I still have a pile of top-grade artifact crafting materials on me. In addition, I also have a pile of spirit crystals and spirit veins. Dao friend Black and White, I'm going to use these things to help you figure out a way to get out. I don't know if you want it or not. Ning Cheng had heard about the black and white bearded man. The only way to wake him up from his deduction array formation was to tell him that he wanted to invest. Sure enough, after hearing Ning Cheng's words, the black and white bearded man immediately put down the materials in his hands and raised his head. At this time, a face even older than Pang Yuan's, covered with the traces of time. If it weren't for the constant decline in my cultivation, I would have figured out a way to get out 3 million years ago. Unfortunately, my cultivation continues to decline, and I'm getting older and older. Every time, I just lack a little bit. To Ning Cheng's surprise, the black and white bearded man's first sentence was not to ask Ning Cheng how much he wanted to give him, but to sigh with emotion. Ning Cheng quickly told him what Chu Manhe had said. He wanted the black and white bearded man to tell him his direction, which would allow him to better judge who to invest in. As a top-grade spirit array master and a technological powerhouse, Ning Cheng didn't worry about being deceived. After Ning Cheng finished speaking, Chu Manhe's eyes filled with pride. In her opinion, the black and white bearded man just wanted to use an array formation to break open the perpetual moon gate. Over the years, the black and white bearded man had used up so many resources and still couldn't open the perpetual moon gate, which meant that this method didn't work. The black and white bearded man waited for Ning Cheng to finish before speaking in a calm voice. Multidimensional space? Void nodes? That's just something children play with. Even if you study it for tens of millions of years, you still can't open Ji Fengyu's perpetual moon gate. Ji Fengyu's perpetual moon gate has nothing to do with space, but with the laws of time. Your direction was wrong from the beginning. When Ning Cheng heard this, his heart suddenly tightened. He felt that the black and white bearded man was right. Impossible, the perpetual moon gate is clearly a space. Only a space-type law array formation can imprison this place. It has nothing to do with time. How can the laws of time arrange a space-type array formation? It's absolutely impossible. Chu Manhe immediately screamed. The black and white bearded man directly crossed her countless years of research. No one would be able to accept such a thing. The black and white bearded man ignored Chu Manhe and directly opened a large cabinet, pointed to the countless array formation models inside, and said, "Take a look at these array formation models of mine. Maybe you will understand." Chapter 1099. Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe were both top-grade array Dao grandmasters. Although the black and white bearded array Dao model was built on the basis of spatial fluctuations, it still had a Dao charm of the passage of time. In just a moment, Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe fell into the depths of these Dao array formations. The two of them even began to observe one by one, completely forgetting the main purpose of their visit. The black and white bearded man did not ask about it, and just let Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe study it, while he himself continued to refine the array flags. After a few days, Ning Cheng finally raised his head. There was a trace of excitement in his eyes. The black and white beard's time array model vaguely contained a trace of the Sea of Twilight's intent divine power. What did this mean? It showed that the black-white beards had grasped a trace of Ji Fengyu's arrangement of the perpetual moon gate. He had comprehended Sunset's twilight in the Sea of Twilight and was very familiar with the Sea of Twilight. The black-white beard spoke the truth. The perpetual moon gate did not use the laws of space to form a space, but the laws of time to form a space. Ning Cheng suddenly recalled the scene of him and Yu Qing standing in the Sea of Twilight. He carried Mu Qing on his back as he rushed towards the dusk. The closer it was to dusk, the faster he aged, and the closer he was to death. But after the two of them passed the dusk, it was a beautiful dawn. The perpetual moon gate was formed from the Sea of Twilight's spirit technique. Therefore, to pass through the perpetual moon gate, one must first use an array formation to find the perpetual moon gate's sunset's twilight and then rush through the dusk. Sea of Twilight. Ning Cheng muttered to himself. He found that he finally understood the method used by the perpetual moon sect. It truly was a law of time-related spirit technique, the Sea of Twilight. Unfortunately, he could not even find the perpetual moon gate's dusk, let alone rush out of it. His sunset's twilight could only be regarded as a grain of sand in the Sea of Twilight. Although the perpetual moon Holy Emperor had amazing talent, he could not understand even a billionth of the Sea of Twilight's great spirit technique. The black and white bearded man looked at Ning Cheng with appreciation and nodded. Not bad. In just a few days, you can already see the Sea of Twilight from my array formation model. It's not impossible for you to break through to become a divine array master with your level of array Dao. What else did you see? The sunset is infinitely beautiful, but it's nearing dusk. After crossing the dusk, it is the first glimmer of dawn. Ning Cheng excitedly spoke out the insights that he had gained in the Sea of Twilight. This was not something that he could see, but rather the insights that he had gained in the Sea of Twilight. The black and white bearded man, who was originally very calm, suddenly stood up and grabbed Ning Cheng's shoulder in excitement. You can actually see through my array formation model that after crossing the dusk is the first glimmer of dawn. Ning Cheng was sweating profusely in his heart. Passing through the dusk was the dawn. He had not seen it from the black and white bearded man's array formation model, but rather his own perception. However, he did not dare to tell the truth. He was afraid that if he told the truth, the black-white beards would be disappointed in him and would not tell him how to break the perpetual moon sect's time array formation. Fortunately, the black and white beards did not care about Ning Cheng's expression. In his view, Ning Cheng had now said that after crossing the dusk, there would be the first glimmer of dawn. Obviously, Ning Cheng had seen through the true role of his array formation model. Good. If I tell you everything I know about the perpetual moon gate's time law array, maybe we can really open the perpetual moon gate. The black-white bearded man spoke with excitement. His cultivation had fallen sharply, and his understanding of the laws of time and the laws of space had plummeted. If Ning Cheng understood what he had to do, maybe he could have a clearer understanding of what to do. Chu Manhe also recovered. Her attainments in the Tao of arrays were better than Ning Cheng's. After looking at the array formation model left by the black-white beards for a few days, and listening to the conversation between Ning Cheng and the black-white beards. At this time, she also realized that the perpetual moon gate might really be a time law array formation. The black-white beards did not care about Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe's thoughts and continued to take out their models and explain them one by one. The laws of time could also open up space. This was the first time Ning Cheng had heard such a theory. He eagerly absorbed the knowledge of the Tao of arrays imparted by the black-white beards. If there was anything he did not understand, he would immediately ask. As time passed, Ning Cheng, Chu Manhe, and the black-white beards completely immersed themselves in the Tao of arrays. In the beginning, the black-white beards continued to explain his Tao of arrays, as well as his understanding of the laws of time tearing through space. At this time, Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe often asked about things that they did not understand. As the black-white beards' explanations became clearer and clearer, Ning Cheng and Chu Manhe asked fewer and fewer questions. In the end, the three of them completely formed a discussion mode. If they did not understand something, they would immediately speak up, and the other two would answer. A few months later, Ning Cheng's Tao of arrays soared. The laws of time grand array that the black-white beards had studied for millions of years was once again studied by the three of them. 3 smelly cobblers were better than Zhuge Liang, not to mention that the three of them were not cobblers, but true powerhouses in the Tao of array formations. The black-white beards had studied the perpetual moon gate's array formation for millions of years, and their direction was correct. Although Chu Manhe's research direction was wrong, she had studied it for countless years. Ning Cheng joined them for the shortest time, but he had been to the Sea of Twilight and had a lot of insight into the Sea of Twilight's sunset's twilight. When the three of them worked together, they were countless times faster than the black-white beards alone. After another 2 years, the three of them stopped discussing at the same time. The black-white beards had a decadent look on his face and spoke with a lonely tone. Ji Fengyu really is powerful. The Sea of Twilight? Hee, the Sea of Twilight. Chu Manha's face also showed the same desolation. The black-white beards' research direction and judgment were correct. What they wanted to find was the location of the sunset in the perpetual moon gate's Sea of Twilight. As long as they could find the sunset, they could cross the Sea of Twilight and leave the perpetual moon gate. Today, under the deduction of countless array formation models, the three of them finally found the location of the perpetual moon gate's Sea of Twilight. It was precisely because they found the location of the perpetual moon gate's Sea of Twilight that the black-white beards and Chu Manha felt so lonely. Because finding it and not finding it were the same thing. The perpetual moon gate's Sea of Twilight was the perpetual moon abyss. If they could cross the perpetual moon abyss and leave the perpetual moon gate, then why would they need to study array formations? The black-white beards and Chu Manha studied for millions of years, only to return to the starting point. The starting point was the only way out of the perpetual moon gate, the perpetual moon abyss. The perpetual moon abyss is the only way out of the perpetual moon gate. This sentence is true. The black-white beards no longer had the mood to study the array formation models and slowly stood up. Ji Fengyu is really despicable to use such a method. Putting the only way out in the perpetual moon abyss, it's clear that he doesn't want to let people out. Chu Manha cursed. Although it was the same thing, the black-white beards felt that Ji Fengyu was very powerful, while Chu Manha felt that Ji Fengyu was despicable. The black-white beards said with a calm voice, "The heavenly Tao never ends, and there is always a line." Ji Fengyu, as a powerhouse who pursues the heavenly Tao, naturally left a line in the perpetual moon gate. Since he left a line, we can't get out because we don't have the ability. Why aren't you disappointed? Is it because we came here for a short time and paid less? Seeing Ning Cheng's calm expression, Chu Manha couldn't help but ask. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile but did not answer Chu Manha's words. Instead, he cupped his fists and asked, "I heard that the first realm of the third step of Tao confirming is the creation realm. Two Tao friends, how many realms are there in the third step of Tao confirming, and what are the differences?" To the surprise of the black-white beards and Chu Manha, Ning Cheng's question had nothing to do with the method they studied to get out of the perpetual moon gate. Although they had only known each other for more than 2 years, Ning Cheng's insights and understanding of the Tao of arrays had made the black-white beards very appreciative. If a genius in the Tao of arrays like Ning Cheng had studied with him before, maybe he would have found the reason a long time ago. In the third step of Tao confirming, apart from forming one's own world, the other two realms are different. Everyone's insights are different, and the world and laws they form are also different. The 3 realms of the third step are also called the 3 realms of creation. The second step is to derive the laws of the universe of one's own world and integrate the laws into the great world. The third step is to step out of the universe, surpassing all living beings, and open the gate of good fortune. This is the creation realm. The black-white beards replied cautiously. What realm does Ji Fengyu have? Ning Cheng had long heard about opening the gate of good fortune. He wondered if Tsang Wei was a third-step powerhouse. The laws of Ji Fengyu's own world were unstable and eventually collapsed. This shows that he barely stepped into the creation realm. The black-white beard said with a sigh. He seemed to be lamenting for such a genius powerhouse. He had completely forgotten about his own situation and who brought it to him. Ning Cheng thanks Tao friend Black-White for dispelling my doubts. I have a few speculations of my own. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, it was normal for the black-white beards to not study array formations. After listening to Ning Cheng's words, he nodded and said, Tao friend Ning, please speak. I think Tao friend Black-White's words are right. The heavenly Tao is endless, and there is always a line. If that line really leads to the perpetual moon abyss, do you think it is still a line? Over the years, I'm afraid there have been many people who wanted to leave the perpetual moon abyss, right? Who went there? Ning Cheng asked. Ning Cheng's words suddenly stunned the black-white beards. He came in earlier than Chu Manha and was one of the first cultivators to enter the perpetual moon gate. How many people were imprisoned in the perpetual moon gate? Perhaps thousands, but how many were there now? More than 100. Chapter 1100. Seeing the black-white-beard man and Chu Manha attentively listening to his explanation, Ning Cheng did not answer directly. Instead, he asked, "There are many Dao charm boulders in the Perpetual Moon sect, and each of them has someone trying to comprehend it. In front of the Perpetual Moon abyss, there is also a large boulder, and half of it is suspended above the Perpetual Moon abyss. There are also many traces of Dao charm on that boulder. Why didn't anyone try to comprehend it? Some people have tried to comprehend it on the floating boulder in front of the Perpetual Moon abyss, but the Dao charm on that boulder is a bit special. Many people who tried to comprehend it rushed towards the Perpetual Moon abyss like crazy. Since then, no one has tried to comprehend it." Chu Manha replied. Ning Cheng shook his head. "I guess that this boulder is the true setting sun of the Sea of Twilight. Standing on top of that boulder, one could get swallowed up by the Perpetual Moon abyss at any time. At the same time, one could also lose their way due to the Dao charm contained within. It's similar to facing the setting sun in the Sea of Twilight. If the Perpetual Moon abyss really is the Sea of Twilight, then it makes more sense that the setting sun is the floating boulder." The reason why Ning Cheng dared to say this was not because he was smarter than the black-white-beard man and Chu Manha, but because he had been to that boulder. He knew that the Dao charm on these boulders couldn't be comprehended at will, so he didn't dare to comprehend the Dao essence on the boulder. Even if he didn't dare to comprehend the Dao charm on the boulder, there was one thing that others couldn't compare to. That was, he felt a familiar trace of Dao charm on the boulder. He hadn't noticed it before, but after discussing array formations with the black-white-beard man and Chu Manha for a few years, he finally understood what that familiar trace of Dao charm was. That feeling was similar to the trace of Dao charm when he rushed towards the setting sun in the Sea of Twilight with Yu Qing on his back. In retrospect, Ning Cheng became even more certain. "How can you be so sure that the boulder is the setting sun of the Sea of Twilight?" The black-white-beard man immediately felt moved. He really hadn't thought about the boulder. There were dozens of such boulders in the Perpetual Moon sect. Who would have thought that this boulder was the setting sun of the Sea of Twilight? Ning Cheng bowed to the black-white-beard man and said, "Many thanks to Dao friend Black-White for your guidance on array formations. The reason I'm so sure is that I have seen the Sea of Twilight. The world condensed by Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor Ji Fengyu shattered in a low-level starry sky, and his laws of time transformed into a place called Time Wilderness. The Sea of Twilight is part of the Time Wilderness." No wonder, the black-white-beard murmured. And he finally understood why Ning Cheng had so much more understanding about the Sea of Sea than him, and Moon Sea. And although he also knew that Ning Cheng's comprehension ability far exceeded his own, but it was still not normal. Cheng also knew that Moon Feng, White Cheng's understanding. After witnessing Ji Fengyu's death, the Sea of Twilight, a spirit technique created by the laws of time, coupled with the results of his millions of years of research, if Ning Cheng still couldn't determine where the setting sun was, then he wouldn't be a genius, but an idiot. Ning Cheng then looked at Chu Manha and asked, "You've been living on the edge of the Perpetual Moon abyss, so you must have observed the cultivators comprehending on the boulders in front of the Perpetual Moon abyss? Maybe they rushed into the Perpetual Moon abyss and disappeared, or maybe they disappeared directly from the boulder." Chu Manha fully understood Ning Cheng's meaning. With the black-white-beard's array formation model and millions of years of research, she, like Ning Cheng, already had a good understanding of this time-spirit array. Now that Ning Cheng spoke about the boulder, she felt that Ning Cheng was right. "Many thanks, Dao friend Ning. I'll go take a look." Chu Manha spoke and immediately left. Ning Cheng and the black-white-beard exchanged communication pearls before saying, "Dao friend Black-White, I'll go inform everyone. If our inference is correct, we'll contact each other after we get out." Ning Cheng naturally would not miss such a good opportunity to make friends with a bunch of primordial chaos holy emperors. Ji Fengyu had taken a liking to the people trapped in the Perpetual Moon Gate, so how could they be simple? Being trapped in the Perpetual Moon Gate for nearly 10 million years without falling, it definitely wasn't simple. The black-white-beard quickly spoke up, "Dao friend Ning, if you hadn't come here this time, I'm afraid I would have died of old age in the Perpetual Moon Gate. Your inference is 90% correct, and we all benefited from you." Ning Cheng spoke up with a straight face, Dao friend Blackwhite, you're wrong. If it weren't for your millions of array Dao deductions, I might have been able to find it in the end. But I'm afraid that would have taken millions of years. After a few million years, my cultivation would have dropped by a lot, and I might have fallen into a predicament like you. Therefore, the biggest credit goes to you. I just stood on the shoulders of a giant, plus some luck. You're the giant. If it weren't for the sake of making friends with Dao friend, I would have called you Senior Blackwhite. Hearing Ning Cheng's sincere tone, the Blackwhite beard knew that Ning Cheng meant what he said. He also laughed and said, I also want to make friends with Dao friend Ning, but please don't call me Senior. In fact, there was no need for Ning Cheng to inform them. When the Blackwhite beard laughed, many cultivators swarmed over. Who in the Perpetual Moon Gate didn't know that the Blackwhite beard was researching a way out? After all, everyone had put in a lot of effort. As for Chu Manha, only a few people knew that she was also researching a way out. Now that the Blackwhite beard was laughing so happily, it meant that the Blackwhite beard had achieved some results. Maybe they could even get out. Who would want to fall behind in this kind of thing? When everyone saw the Blackwhite beard and Ning Cheng coming out together, they started to have some doubts. After all, Ning Cheng was the child of wealth. If the Blackwhite beard became happy because Ning Cheng took out spirit crystals, then they would have been happy for nothing. The Blackwhite beard saw the crowd coming over and said in a clear voice, Dao friends, I, the Blackwhite beard, have received a lot of support from everyone over the years. Many friends here have taken out crystals and materials for me to deduce the way out of the Perpetual Moon Gate. For millions of years, I didn't dare to be careless. It's just that my talent is limited, and I've always lacked that epiphany. The heavenly Dao is endless. There is always a chance of survival, and Dao friend Ning Cheng is that chance sent by the heavenly Dao. I, Dao friend Ning Cheng, and Dao friend Chu Manha have worked hard for several years. Finally, we found the way out of the Perpetual Moon Gate. A burst of cheers interrupted the Blackwhite beard's words. Even a primordial chaos holy emperor couldn't contain the crazy joy in his heart at this time. No one could remain calm after being trapped in the Perpetual Moon Gate for millions of years. Perhaps only Ning Cheng could remain calm. After all, he had been trapped here for less than 3 years. Almost everyone here knew Ning Cheng, and when they heard that Ning Cheng had made great efforts, they all came up to exchange communication pearls with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was not only the child of wealth, but he also gave everyone a way out. As such, they couldn't help but thank him. The Perpetual Moon Gate is a grand array. I won't explain the principle of this grand array. It would be too complicated to explain. I can only tell you that the Perpetual Moon Gate was created by Ji Fengyu's Sea of Twilight. Therefore, if you want to leave the Perpetual Moon Gate, you must first comprehend Ji Fengyu's time spirit technique on the Dao Charm boulder in front of the Perpetual Moon Abyss, the Sea of Twilight. At this point, the Blackwhite beard paused and looked at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng understood the meaning of the Blackwhite beard. He wanted him to simulate the sunset's twilight spirit technique and describe his insights in the Sea of Twilight. Sunset's twilight was his spirit technique, and if he wanted to teach it, he must first obtain his consent. Ning Cheng naturally wanted to make friends with so many primordial chaos holy emperors through a spirit technique simulation. Besides, he knew that simulating the sunset's twilight spirit technique didn't mean that he could impart it. Moreover, his sunset's twilight might not even be worth mentioning in front of these primordial chaos powerhouses. Seeing Ning Cheng nod, the Blackwhite beard felt that he had not misjudged him. He said with joy, because only Dao friend Ning has a perception of the Sea of Twilight spirit technique. If we want to leave the Perpetual Moon Gate, we must listen to Dao friend Ning's Dao discussion on the laws of time spirit technique, the Sea of Twilight. A group of primordial chaos holy emperors listening to a Dao transformation holy emperor's Dao discussion sounded a bit funny. But no one felt that it was inappropriate and thanked Ning Cheng one after another. Ning Cheng didn't decline because he was the only one who had been to the Sea of Twilight. He walked to the front of the crowd and saw that Chu Manha had also returned. It seemed that Chu Manha didn't want to try it first. Dao friends, when it comes to cultivation, everyone is stronger than me. It is my honor to be friends with you all. I also hope that whether in the Perpetual Moon Gate or after leaving the Perpetual Moon Gate, our friendship will last forever. Ning Cheng spoke with a lofty tone. In fact, everyone understood what he meant. That is, everyone should remember to not forget who saved them. Don't be an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. However, no one felt dissatisfied. Ning Cheng had given away 20 million spirit crystals the moment he arrived. At that time, Ning Cheng didn't know if he could leave the perpetual moon gate. Without knowing if he could leave or not, it was extremely generous to take out so many spirit crystals at will. I can't describe the Sea of Twilight. I walk in the Sea of Twilight, and the setting sun in the Sea of Twilight symbolizes death. With every breath, I get closer to death. I wanted to retreat, but I suddenly had a realization. What was there to fear about life and death? Life between heaven and earth was like a white steed passing by suddenly. In the gap between the white steed passing by, I might as well do what I want to do. I want to know what's behind the setting sun. Even if it's death, I want to see what death is. I rushed towards the setting sun. The passage of time in the Sea of Twilight took away my lifespan, took away my appearance, but left behind an eternal Tao charm. I comprehended my own spirit technique, sunset's twilight. After that, Ning Cheng brought out the void cold light spear in his hand. A setting sun appeared in the distance. The setting sun brought with it a red glow, looking extremely beautiful. However, the setting sun was about to set, and the beauty was about to disappear. Everyone's attention was attracted by the faint beauty of the setting sun. Chapter 1101. Good. After Ning Cheng finished the Tao discussion in a short time, the dozens of primordial chaos holy emperors applauded in unison. Ning Cheng's story and Tao charm narration were both brief descriptions, but he clearly explained the sunset's twilight spirit technique. He even simulated the Tao charm of the laws of time in the middle. Among the people here, which one of them did not have powerful qualifications, as such Ning Cheng's words almost made all of them understand what he meant. The black-white-beard man stood up with a crystal ball in his hand and said, Tao friend Ning's Tao discussion of the spirit technique was very clear, so I recorded it into a crystal ball. I will put this crystal ball next to the perpetual moon abyss. Today we will all go out. In the future, there might be other cultivators trapped here. I hope that as long as the perpetual moon gate exists, this crystal ball will exist here. I don't want others to end up like us, trapped here for countless years. These people had been trapped in the perpetual moon gate for countless years, so they naturally understood the words of the black-white-beard man. A top-level powerhouse trapped in a place, unable to cultivate, unable to roam the void freely, that kind of depression was not something ordinary people could understand. Cultivating the Tao was indeed for longevity, but it was also for living a carefree life. No one would want to live a long life that was restricted. Therefore, as soon as the words of the black-white-beard man came out, everyone immediately agreed with him. Ning Cheng also said, although the Tao charm on the boulder platform is the exit array gate, my ability is limited. What I demonstrated was just a corner of the Sea of Twilight. Perhaps not everyone will be able to leave this place in one piece, but I still wish everyone the best of luck. In case anyone can't comprehend the Tao charm and eventually falls in the perpetual moon abyss, we naturally can't blame Tao friend Ning. We all know what Tao friend Ning has done for us. Immediately, a primordial chaos holy emperor stood up to support Ning Cheng. The black-white-beard man nodded. That's right. I'll say one last thing. It hasn't been easy for us to be together for so many years. Cultivating the Tao is also a cultivation of the heart. Anyone who can get out of here will not forget whose credit it is. I'm old, but it doesn't matter. Tao friend Ning is young and has a bright future. I hope that when we meet in the future, everyone can remember how they came out. Even without the black-white-beard man's reminder, most people remembered Ning Cheng's kindness when Ning Cheng distributed the crystal stones. Martial cultivators knew that the great Tao was merciless, and they would absolutely not be lenient when fighting for the resources and future of the great Tao. But in a situation where there was no conflict of interest, there were not many people who would toss aside the debt of saving their lives. Most people still remembered Ning Cheng and the black and white beard's kindness. I'll be the first to give it a try. Every day that Chuman has stayed here was one more day of suffering. She originally wanted to comprehend the traces of the Tao runes of the setting sun on the giant stone platform. But after thinking about it, he decided to ask Ning Cheng about the Tao charm of the Sea of Twilight. Fortunately, before she could ask, Ning Cheng publicly discussed the Tao. Now that Chu Manha heard Ning Cheng's Tao discourse, she naturally couldn't wait to give it a try. At the edge of the perpetual moon abyss, hundreds of people surrounded it. Everyone's gaze fell on Chu Manha. Chu Manha was also a little excited. She slowly walked to the huge stone platform and sat down. In less than half an incense stick worth of time, the aura of the Tao charm of the laws of time surrounded her. Chu Manha's figure slowly became blurry. After a dozen breaths, the place where Chu Manha was sitting suddenly exploded with a sunset glow. Immediately after, Chu Manha was swept away by the sunset glow and disappeared without a trace. I saw it. Tao friend Chu definitely didn't fall into the perpetual moon abyss. She went out, she really went out. A short holy emperor couldn't help but feel excited. With Chu Manha as an example, the rest of the people could no longer resist the urge to leave. Fortunately, everyone here was a Tao fusion powerhouse, and they knew that this was not the time to fight. At the suggestion of the black and white beard, they gave Ning Cheng the second chance to leave. Ning Cheng also felt a little excited. If he was trapped in another place, he could still cultivate. But now that he was trapped in the perpetual moon gate and couldn't even cultivate, he naturally didn't want to stay here. Standing on the suspended boulder in the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng's mind fell on the traces of the Tao charm on the boulder. He had already been to the Sea of Twilight and had even demonstrated the spirit technique, Sunset's Twilight, that he comprehended in the Sea of Twilight. At this moment, Ning Cheng almost sat on the boulder and felt the same Tao charm aura as the one in the Sea of Twilight. At this moment, Ning Cheng felt like he was once again standing in the boundless gravel of the Sea of Twilight. Time continued to flow past him, and a setting sun appeared in the distance. The Tao charm of the setting sun condensed along with Ning Cheng's insights, and a multicolored light rolled out. Ning Cheng felt relieved. But just when he thought he was about to be teleported away, a slender figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Yu Qing? Wasn't Yu Qing on his back? When did she fall from his back? The whirlpool of the Sea of Twilight swept over again. Seeing that Yu Qing was about to be swept away, Ning Cheng quickly rushed over. How could he leave Yu Qing alone here to die? The moment Ning Cheng rushed over to grab Yu Qing, Ning Cheng knew that it was over. The Tao charm of the twilight on the boulder had actually disturbed his mind. Not only did he not get teleported away with the multicolored light at the critical moment, but he even jumped out of the teleportation light. This was definitely Ji Fengyu's doing. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought of Yu Qing, who had gone through thick and thin with him on the sunset teleportation platform in the Sea of Twilight. Because Yu Qing had fallen in the time wilderness, Ning Cheng always felt a little guilty. Especially after seeing the 10 ice walls, Ning Cheng felt even more sad. This trace of guilt and sadness finally hit him when he left the Perpetual Moon Gate. The sunset teleportation platform in the Perpetual Moon Gate was triggered by the Tao charm of the Twilight. Ning Cheng's experience in the Sea of Twilight made him feel a trace of regret when he saw the Tao charm of the Twilight again. Seeing the flickering multicolored light around Ning Cheng, everyone understood that Ning Cheng had also succeeded. The flickering multicolored light indicated that the Tao charm of the Sea of Twilight was about to teleport him away. But then, everyone looked at the boulder platform in disbelief. Ning Cheng had rushed out of the multicolored light at the critical moment and fell into the perpetual moon abyss. At this moment, no one spoke. The Holy Emperor, who wanted to follow Ning Cheng and be the third to leave the perpetual moon gate, subconsciously retracted his footsteps. Ning Cheng had evolved the Tao charm of the Sea of Twilight once. Although Ning Cheng's evolution wasn't even 1,000th of the Sea of Twilight, it had pointed out a path for everyone. Now that the teacher who guided the way had not passed through the Perpetual Moon Gate's teleportation array, how could the rest of the people pass through? As for Ning Cheng, who fell into the Perpetual Moon Abyss, no one expected him to survive. Even Tao perfection powerhouses couldn't survive after falling into the Perpetual Moon Abyss, let alone a Tao transformation Holy Emperor like Ning Cheng. The moment Ning Qing realized that something bad had happened, he immediately entered the mysterious yellow bead. At this moment, nothing else mattered. His life was the most important thing. Ning Qing had already investigated the horrors of the perpetual moon abyss. With his cultivation and strength, once he fell into the perpetual moon abyss, he wouldn't last more than a few breaths. Everything happened in a very short time. From the time Ning Qing activated the multicolored light to Ning Qing rushing into the perpetual moon abyss and entering the mysterious yellow bead, it all happened in just half a breath. When the mysterious yellow bead entered the perpetual moon abyss, everything quieted down. Except for a few holy emperors, no one felt the mysterious yellow aura. While Yanji was still in secluded cultivation, Ning Qing sat inside the mysterious yellow bead and sighed. He had finally found a way out with the help of the black and white beards, but he still ended up falling into the perpetual moon abyss. If he had known this, he would have come in 2 years in advance. Carefully sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness from the mysterious yellow bead, the surrounding roaring shockwaves caused Ning Qing's sea of consciousness to feel a burst of pain. Even when he stretched out his spiritual consciousness, in just a moment, it was swept away by the inexhaustible and terrifying berserk aura, before it completely disappeared. Ning Qing quickly retracted his spiritual consciousness. What he saw just now was just chaos. Apart from the violent aura, there was nothing but violent aura. If he didn't have the mysterious yellow bead, he would have already turned to ashes. It was just like when he fell into the void vortex. The mysterious yellow bead had saved his life. Ning Qing sighed. Since he had already fallen into the perpetual moon abyss, he had to accept this fact. Back when he crossed the graceful star ocean, he couldn't release his spiritual consciousness in the heavenly star space. But he used the heavenly star space to temper his spiritual consciousness. Perhaps in the perpetual moon abyss, he could temper his spiritual consciousness. Fortune and misfortune went hand in hand, who knew? Although the mysterious yellow bead's world was not completely perfected, Ning Qing could still cultivate in it. In order to let his spiritual consciousness gain a foothold in the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Qing, in addition to stabilizing his cultivation, also began to cultivate his own modified dark nether spirit devourer. In the beginning, as soon as Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness left the mysterious yellow bead, it would immediately turn into fragments and disappear without a trace. Even his sea of consciousness would tumble for a while. If replaced by anyone else, even with the dark nether spirit devourer, they would not dare to temper their spiritual consciousness in the perpetual moon abyss. But Ning Qing dared because he had the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. Without the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, Ning Qing naturally would not dare to temper his spiritual consciousness in the perpetual moon abyss. Because it was not tempering one's spiritual consciousness, but weakening one's sea of consciousness. Perhaps after tempering one's spiritual consciousness for a few years, one's spiritual consciousness would not increase, and one's sea of consciousness would collapse. Half a year later, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness could finally stretch out 10 feet of the mysterious yellow bead and could even stay in the perpetual moon abyss for a dozen breaths. When he took it back, the perpetual moon abyss would not devour it. This progress made Ning Qing ecstatic. He finally found a cultivation method, a modified dark nether spirit devourer plus the perpetual moon abyss plus the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill. How strong would the spiritual consciousness tempered in this method be? The berserk nature of the perpetual moon abyss could even kill a Dao integration realm powerhouse. If the powerful spiritual sense he had tempered in the perpetual moon abyss was no longer a simple spiritual consciousness thorn and spiritual consciousness blade attack, but a divine ability, how terrifying would it be? Thinking of this, Ning Qing felt a little excited and even looked forward to it, forgetting that he was still trapped in the perpetual moon abyss. Chapter 1102. In addition to the spiritual consciousness blades and spiritual consciousness thorns, he also cultivated the relatively powerful dark consciousness storm. Dark consciousness storm was not only a spirit technique, but also a powerful spirit technique. The dark consciousness storm spirit technique required one to control the laws of space, which combined the spiritual consciousness with the space spirit technique to attack the opponent. It was not an attack on the opponent's sea of consciousness, but a physical attack. Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness far exceeded those in the same realm, and he could even easily deal with those on a higher level. However, if he wanted to use the dark consciousness storm to deal with opponents much stronger than him, it still lacked a lot. At this time, Ning Cheng's dark consciousness storm spirit technique had only reached the threshold. However, using the dark consciousness storm spirit technique against powerful opponents was not as useful as using other spirit techniques. Now that he had tempered his spiritual consciousness in the perpetual moon abyss, his spiritual consciousness had not only grown stronger than before, but the toughness of his spiritual consciousness had also improved. Now, his spiritual consciousness could even tear through the Tao charm laws. If he used the spiritual consciousness he had tempered in the perpetual moon abyss and brought out the dark consciousness storm, his attack power would definitely be several times stronger than before. Even if it grew several times stronger, facing a powerhouse with much higher cultivation than him, he wouldn't be able to create a dark consciousness storm that could engulf the opponent in his spiritual consciousness storm and let him slaughter them. If he met an opponent similar to him, he might be able to do this, but what was the point of it? In Ning Cheng's view, a spirit technique was something that could turn the tide of the battle at a critical moment and help him win. Against opponents with similar cultivation, he had too many spirit techniques at his disposal. As such, he didn't need to use the dark consciousness storm at all. The Great Tao was simple, so why couldn't spirit techniques be simple? His spirit techniques didn't require him to be in a stalemate with his opponent, but as long as he had a chance to win. What if he could make the dark consciousness storm and spiritual consciousness thorns have the same abrupt attack effect? Compressing his own divine sense into a needle-like attack, and after the thin needle blasted through the opponent's defense, it would suddenly explode like the maximal flame divine ability. Wouldn't that allow him to exert his powerful divine sense to the extreme? It had both the violence of the dark consciousness storm and the simplicity of the spiritual consciousness thorns. Gorgeous spirit techniques might look good, but this kind of spirit technique was even more effective. With a clear direction, Ning Cheng continued to temper his spiritual consciousness while consciously using his spiritual consciousness to deduce new spirit techniques. In the beginning, Ning Cheng compressed the dark consciousness storm, but Ning Cheng soon discovered that it was still a dark consciousness storm. In the end, Ning Cheng simply rolled up all of his spiritual consciousness and used the laws of space and the laws of time to bypass the domain he simulated in the perpetual moon abyss before erupting. Just like a shadowless and invisible spiritual consciousness needle, this needle could sweep up all of Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness power, and in the shortest time possible, it could penetrate into the opponent's body. Then, just like the maximal flame spiritual technique, it would explode before the opponent could even react. The explosion of divine sense was several times stronger than the explosion of divine essence. Ning Cheng was confident that he could even severely injure a Tao essence divine emperor. The only regret was that this kind of explosion would consume one's divine sense. It was a method of harming oneself while harming the enemy. Since Ning Cheng had the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, he didn't care about this desperate spirit technique. What he wanted was a method. He couldn't rely on the 5-colored star splitter arrow every time something happened. The 5-colored star splitter arrow wasn't omnipotent. It also consumed a lot of spirit essence and spiritual consciousness. Boom, boom, boom. After Ning Cheng started simulating the new spiritual consciousness spirit technique, the space around the mysterious yellow bead continued to explode. Ning Cheng had just started simulating the spirit technique, so he naturally wouldn't blast out all of his spiritual consciousness and condense it into an explosive spiritual consciousness needle. If that were the case, his Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill would disappear before he could finish cultivating this spirit technique. Not only would he lose the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, but his sea of consciousness would also suffer severe damage. Another half a year passed, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could now stay within a range of 3 feet for a few minutes. Moreover, his new spiritual consciousness spirit technique was even more shadowless and invisible. Once activated, it could explode one's spiritual consciousness for half a breath. Once he poured all of his spiritual consciousness into this spirit technique, it would be several times more powerful than the god-slaying bead that cut off the violent aura of his spiritual consciousness. However, once he poured all of his spiritual consciousness into this spirit technique, even with the help of the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, he wouldn't be able to recover his vitality in a short time. Boom! When Ning Cheng blasted away a large portion of the violent aura within 5 feet of the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng stopped practicing. He knew that he had succeeded with this spiritual consciousness spirit technique. This spiritual consciousness would be called dark consciousness explosion in the future. Tempered in the perpetual moon abyss, the spiritual consciousness contained a violent aura that could produce a powerful tearing sensation. This tearing sensation wasn't just a physical tearing. If it struck a cultivator, it could even tear apart the other party's corporeal body and Tao charm laws. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness grew stronger and stronger in the perpetual moon abyss, he no longer acted like a headless fly. Instead, he chose a direction and kept moving forward. With things to do, Ning Cheng didn't know if time passed quickly or slowly. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness stretched out a few dozen feet in the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng suddenly felt an emptiness outside of his spiritual consciousness. The violent aura he had used to temper his spiritual consciousness had completely disappeared. Did he rush out of the perpetual moon abyss? As Ning Cheng thought of this in his heart, he immediately rushed over and immediately felt the endless essence spirit fragments. These essence spirit fragments not only contained traces of powerful Tao charm but also contained a variety of memories and spirit technique fragments. Ning Cheng immediately came out of the mysterious yellow bead and felt the essence spirit fragments around him in shock. How many powerhouses had fallen to produce such an effect? The chaotic Tao charm aura mixed together. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness tempering in the perpetual moon abyss was not in vain. The Tao charm of these essence spirit fragments had all been blasted out by his domain. In fact, even if he had not tempered his spiritual consciousness in the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng did not fear these chaotic essence spirit fragments. He still had the 7 bridges spirit technique. To deal with these things, the 7 bridges spirit technique was the best choice. Standing in the midst of the endless essence spirit fragments, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was about to carefully stretch out to find out what this place was when he suddenly heard a voice. "You are the only one who survived in the perpetual moon abyss. What is your name?" This voice seemed to come from the ground, but it also seemed to come from the side. Ning Cheng shivered and immediately brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort to protect his body. At the same time, the void cold light spear also appeared in his hand. This spear won't do, but the everlasting blue thunder fort is good. The voice came again, ethereal and without any roots. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness caught it this time. This voice did not seem to have condensed into a solid form. It seemed to be just an essence spirit, or even an incomplete essence spirit. I understand now. You are the origin of the Fallen Soul Gorge. Did you bring the countless fallen souls in the Fallen Soul Gorge here? You even wanted to kill me before, didn't you? Why can you survive in the perpetual moon abyss? Ning Cheng became even more vigilant when he realized that the other party should be the essence spirit that absorbed the souls in the Fallen Soul Gorge. It was because his essence spirit was almost sucked away that he had no choice but to jump down the perpetual moon gate. He did not expect that after jumping down he would meet the owner. How could he escape? The voice from the abyss remained silent for a long time before slowly speaking. According to normal logic, you should be the one who ruined my plans. As for the Fallen Soul Gorge's powerful 10-directional soul-absorbing array, it has nothing to do with me. Did I ruin his plans? In any case, Ning Cheng felt a lot more relaxed now that he knew that the other party could not directly absorb his essence spirit. The Fallen Soul Gorge's 10-directional soul-absorbing array was powerful. Ning Cheng pondered for a moment and suddenly said, I know who you are. You are Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor Jifingyu. Everyone thought that you had fallen, but no one expected you to hide here and absorb the essence spirits of others to restore your cultivation. Even those primordial chaos holy emperors were probably captured by you to restore your cultivation, right? You were the one who set up the 10-direction soul-absorbing array, and it's also for you. The voice turned silent again, and after a while, it spoke again. I don't know if I'm Ji Fengyu or not. I'm just a trace of Ji Fengyu's spiritual sense. Before participating in the war, Ji Fengyu had a premonition that he would not end well, so he left behind a few traces of his spiritual sense. The purpose was to recreate his corporeal body and essence spirit in case something happened. This is one of the places he arranged. Over the years, the Perpetual Moon Abyss Grand Array has helped me integrate countless primordial chaos blood essences and extracted countless essence spirits to absorb. Maybe after a while I will form my own body. But I'm no longer the Ji Fengyu of the past, not even an avatar. Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Ji Fengyu had arranged this essence spirit. Ji Fengyu knew that the consequences would be dire, so he had arranged it in advance. He had not expected that this essence spirit would form a new consciousness after absorbing a large number of primordial chaos holy emperors and even Dao integration powerhouses essence blood, Dao runes, and essence spirits. This was because the things absorbed were too complicated, and the newly formed consciousness slowly melted away Ji Fengyu's own consciousness. If a third-step Almighty could make such a mistake, it showed that third-step Almighties were also human. Ning Cheng felt relieved because he felt that this essence spirit did not pose a threat to him. If the other party had threatened him, he would not have allowed anyone to use that platform to leave. I'm not a threat to you. It's your business that you have the mysterious yellow bead. Even if I wanted to snatch your mysterious yellow bead, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do anything. You don't have to worry about me. Of course, you're not a threat to me. Even if you stay here for countless years, you won't be able to hurt me, the voice in the abyss continued. Ning Cheng felt more at ease. This guy wanted to recreate his own body and leave this place, but it would probably take him tens of thousands of years. There was no need for him to worry or pay attention to this guy. When I was comprehending the Sea of Twilight's Dao Charm Spirit technique and was about to leave, were you the one behind it? Ning Cheng's tone turned cold. Although he had some scars because of Yu Qing, he would not fail in that situation. Now, Ning Cheng finally understood that it was most likely this guy's doing. Chapter 1103. The Abyss Primordial Spirit said calmly, "This is the place where the Sea of Twilight Divine Power is formed. I can only affect people who have been to the Sea of Twilight. You have been there, so I called you down. I originally wanted to make a deal with you." Ning Cheng sneered, "A deal? I'm afraid you want to kill me. If I didn't have the mysterious yellow bead, I would have already died to the violent Dao charm of the Perpetual Moon Abyss." The voice was still incomparably calm. "You fell because your strength was not up to par. It has no conflict with my deal." Ning Cheng also calmed down. He knew that without the help of this abyssal primordial spirit, he might not be able to leave this place. This primordial spirit was right. If he died, his belongings would eventually fall into the hands of this primordial spirit. Originally, I only wanted to ask you for 3 twilight sand and 2 drops of glimmer of dawn ice essence. Now, I want to ask for one more thing from you. Whether you want to trade or not is up to you. The primordial spirit's tone had always been flat. I don't have any twilight sand, and I only have a single drop of glimmer of dawn ice essence. I want something else. Ning Cheng refused without hesitation. The twilight sand was what he needed to forge the soul transformation spear, and he didn't have many glimmer of dawn ice pith left. How could he trade with this primordial spirit? The life essence seemed to never have a temper, so when Ning Cheng said that he didn't, he just gave an "oh" sound and didn't say anything else. Ning Cheng waited for a long time, but did not get an answer from the life essence. As such, he gave out a sigh and spoke, "I do not have any twilight sand, but I do have a drop of glimmer of dawn ice essence. You can talk about the other things." Without the help of this essence spirit, even if he could leave the Perpetual Moon Abyss, how long would he have to wait? What if he really couldn't leave? He did not have the confidence to go against the other party. "Since you have the mysterious yellow bead, I need a bit of the mysterious yellow origin." The life essence spoke up in a calm voice. "Of course, if you give me a mysterious yellow origin, then even if there is no twilight sand, and only a drop of glimmer of dawn ice essence, I would still be willing to trade with you. Then what did you give me? Ningqing asked. When the other party spoke about a fist of mysterious yellow origin, Ningqing immediately understood what he meant. That is, he wanted to use a restriction to wrap up the fist-sized mysterious yellow origin qi and give it to him. The essence spirit's tone was very calm. I have an array flag for you. It can allow you to leave this place. Just this thing, and you want my mysterious yellow origin? Do you think that the mysterious yellow origin is something that can be found on the streets? Ningqing angrily spoke. His essence soul remained calm. A deal is between both parties. You can trade with me or not. With my current ability, I can only absorb passively. As long as you don't die here, I won't be able to oppress you. Ningqing immediately lost his temper. The words of the other party were very reasonable. No one was forcing him to trade. Ningqing knew that he could not deal with the other party, and helplessly spoke up, "We can trade, but I have to ask you a few questions." Ask away, but you only have 3 chances to answer. The primordial spirit's tone was like plain water. Don't you know where Ji Fengyu went? In Ningqing's opinion, since this essence spirit was a sliver of Ji Fengyu's consciousness, then it should contain Ji Fengyu's whereabouts. I don't know. I'm not a sliver of Ji Fengyu's primordial spirit. I'm just a sliver of consciousness that he left behind. I don't know which positional plane Ji Fengyu went to and what he did. But since you can go to the Sea of Twilight, it means that Ji Fengyu's world has collapsed. Otherwise, his Sea of Twilight spirit technique would not have turned into a pile of rubble. When it came to Ji Fengyu, the essence soul spoke as if it was talking about an unrelated person. Ningqing finally understood, and in his heart, he felt even more amazed by Ji Fengyu's wealth. Leaving behind the perpetual moon gate, leaving behind the fallen soul gorge, just to serve a sliver of his consciousness. If replaced by someone else, this kind of wealth would require at least a sliver of their essence soul to remain here. Let me ask you again, since Ji Fengyu knew that he was in danger, why didn't he choose to reincarnate? Instead, he used this method to help you grow? This was the thing that puzzled Ningqing the most. For a powerhouse in the world creation realm, reincarnation should be a very simple matter, right? The essence soul still spoke in a calm voice. The world creation realm is the 3rd step of Tao confirming. After experiencing the 3rd Deva's blight, one would have already surpassed reincarnation. How could there be reincarnation? The 3rd step of Tao confirming can't reincarnate? Ningqing spoke in shock. This was the first time he heard that the 3rd step of Tao confirming couldn't reincarnate. For the first time, the essence soul's tone contained a trace of disdain. Who said that the 3rd step of Tao confirming can't reincarnate and can choose to reincarnate in their own world? Ji Fengyu's world shattered, so how could he reincarnate in his own world? Of course, if you have the same transcendental treasure, you can also reincarnate. It's just that the 3rd step of Tao confirming's reincarnation is far from what you think. Very few 3rd step powerhouses would choose to reincarnate. Well, now that you've asked your 3 questions, let's trade. Ningqing had to speak up. My next question is related to the trade. I can trade with you, but you have to tell me the specific location of the Jialiang Mountain's true Yang heart. The essence soul interrupted Ningqing's words. The Jialiang Mountain I know only came from absorbing the broken fragments of other essence souls. As for the true Yang heart you mentioned, I don't know about it. Then send me to the 9 primordial ice cave and... The essence soul interrupted Ningqing's words again. I can only send you out of the fallen soul gorge. I can't do anything else. Ningqing became angry. You can't do this, you can't do that, why should I trade with you? Maybe one day I can climb up from the perpetual moon abyss and teleport away from that platform again. The essence soul turned silent and seemed to feel that Ningqing was right. After waiting for half an incense stick worth of time, the essence soul spoke up. Your Tao heart is scarred. Even if you have the mysterious yellow bead, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to reach the 3rd step. I have a recalling Bodhi seed, which I obtained from a Tao unification Holy Emperor's ring. I'll give it to you as the price. Recalling Bodhi seed? Ningqing asked in doubt. He had never heard of the recalling Bodhi seed before. According to the name, it should be a spiritual object. However, he had seen plants in the universe, but he had never seen a recalling Bodhi seed. It doesn't matter if you don't know about it. I can't explain it to you. When you can't enter the third step of Tao confirming, this recalling Bodhi seed might help you a little. When the time comes, you will know the reason for it. It wouldn't be good for me to explain it to you. This is all I can offer. If you don't want to trade, then forget it. The essence soul didn't feel anxious at all. I'll trade. Ning Cheng finished and took out a jade bottle. At the same time, he wrapped a fist-sized mass of mysterious yellow qi. Ning Cheng was experienced and knew that he couldn't squeeze anything out of this essence soul. Therefore, he simply agreed. Sure enough, after he took out these two things, two other things suddenly appeared not far in front of him. One was a jade box, and the other was a strange array flag. Ning Cheng grabbed these two things, and the jade bottle and the mysterious yellow qi in front of him were also swept away by a force. Ning Cheng opened the jade box and saw a grayish thing lying inside. He couldn't see anything unusual about it. He didn't continue to study it. Instead, he covered it with several layers of restrictions and sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng had always been careful with things he didn't recognize. After putting away the jade box, Ning Cheng looked at the array flag in his hand. Sure enough, as soon as this array flag touched his hand, Ning Cheng felt a strong Twilight Tao charm aura. From the looks of it, this essence soul didn't lie. This array flag should really be the array flag to get out. Ning Cheng put away the everlasting blue thunder fort and let the Tao charm permeate into the array flag. The array flag instantly activated, and a sunset glow rolled out. Ning Cheng instantly disappeared from the perpetual moon abyss without a trace. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng felt something under his feet. He knew that he had truly teleported out. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, he soon saw several saint emperors passing by the edge of his spiritual consciousness. This made Ning Cheng feel relieved. Sure enough, he had returned to the Jiaoliang mountain. That essence soul had kept its word and didn't do anything disgusting. The Black Clay Canyon had so many spirit veins. It was a small matter that he didn't obtain even one, but he ended up being forced to enter the Perpetual Moon Gate. If he hadn't tempered his spiritual consciousness in the Perpetual Moon Gate and successfully cultivated the Dark Consciousness Explosion, he would have suffered a huge loss entering the Jiaoliang mountain. Ning Cheng didn't plan to contact Mang Yong right now. The most important thing for him now was to hurry to the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Wan Yuheng, whom he met in the Perpetual Moon Gate, had once given him a map of the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Now, he naturally wanted to go to the Nine Origins Ice Cave and find the true Yang Heart first. As long as he found the true Yang Heart, he would have the confidence to melt the Nirvana Spear and refine a Good Fortune Divine Spear of his own. Even if his Good Fortune Divine Spear was a knockoff, it was still several grades stronger than the Void Cold Light Spear. Refining the real Good Fortune Divine Spear, Ning Cheng had long since given up on it. 5-element spirit water and heaven-opening iron essence were not things he could obtain. Even if he could obtain them, how many years would it take? The Jiaoliang mountain was indeed boundless. Ning Cheng followed the map and walked for more than half a month. He didn't know how many dangers he had to face along the way before he finally arrived at the periphery of the Nine Origins Ice Cave. After Ning Cheng arrived, he found that he wasn't the only one who came to the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Even at the periphery of the Nine Origins Ice Cave, Ning Cheng saw hundreds of cultivators. He even saw several Tao Essence Holy Emperors. The news about the true Yang Heart in the Nine Origins Ice Cave came from the Perpetual Moon Gate. These people shouldn't be here for the true Yang Heart, right? The more Ning Cheng thought about it, the more uncertain he became. He stopped a Tao Actualization Holy Emperor and asked, "Tao friend, why did so many people come to the Nine Origins Ice Cave?" The Tao Actualization Holy Emperor looked at Ning Cheng in confusion and said, "Tao friend, are you not here for the true Yang Heart?" Ning Cheng's heart skipped a beat. So it was like this. Damn, did these people in the Jiaoliang mountain all have dog noses? Chapter 1104. The Nine Origins Ice Cave didn't look like a plain from the outside, but a huge sloping mountain. From afar, this huge mountain looked like a terraced field. On the sloping hillside, there were countless holes. Even though Ning Cheng was far away, he could feel the cold aura coming from these holes. From the looks of it, these holes should be the entrances to the Nine Origins Ice Caves. All kinds of figures were constantly coming in and out of these holes. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, but found that even with his powerful spiritual consciousness, he could only sweep through an ordinary hole a few thousand meters deep. As he tried to go deeper, it felt as if he had encountered an invisible chill, causing his spiritual consciousness to be blocked. There were some holes that his spiritual sense couldn't even reach a kilometer. Ning Cheng finally understood why there were rumors of a true young heart here, but after a few months, no one had found it. If someone didn't find the true young heart, it was because there were too many entrances to the ice caves, making it impossible to find the true young heart. If these holes were searched one by one, even if there were tens of thousands of people, it would take hundreds of years to find all of them. And this didn't include the forks in the ice caves. Counting the forks, the search time would be even more immeasurable. A Tao Essence Divine Emperor came out of one of the ice caves. He didn't continue to look for other caves. Instead, his figure flashed and he left the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Ning Cheng knew that this person didn't leave because he found the true young heart, but because he didn't have confidence in finding it. With so many ice caves here, it wouldn't be easy to find the entrance to the true young heart. Just like this Tao Essence Divine Emperor, after coming out of the ice cave, they gave up looking for the true young heart. It wasn't just one person but many people who left. But there were also many people like Ning Cheng who joined the search from afar. Ning Cheng landed at the entrance of an ice cave and didn't go in. If he went in one by one, how long would it take? What's more, the chance of finding it was less than 1 in a million. I don't know what flame Dao Friend brought. I have a top-grade flame with the Yin attribute. If Dao Friend is willing, we can take out our flames and work together. Just as Ning Cheng was hesitating, a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor landed in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was slightly startled. What did finding the true young heart have to do with flames? This guy had obviously seen him as a newcomer. I have a God-grade flame. Ning Cheng replied. However, he was thinking in his heart, could it be that the flame could sense the true young heart? Hearing this, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor became even more enthusiastic. Tao Friend, I just arrived here not long ago. My flame can't sense the true young heart. I can't pinpoint the exact location. If fellow Taoist is willing to join hands with me, if we manage to obtain the true young heart, we'll split it in half for each of us. How about it? It was not strange for the true young heart to split into two halves. Some of the weaker God level flames only needed to reach the peak of the God level to be able to split into two halves. Using half of the true young heart, there was a chance for it to evolve into a sacred flame or a quasi-sacred flame. A quasi-sacred flame that only used half of the true young heart to advance would be weaker by a few levels. No matter how weak it was not something that a God-level flame could compare to. Can you really feel the true young heart with flames? Ning Cheng finally asked. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor didn't find Ning Cheng's question strange. He thought Ning Cheng knew about this and said with certainty, indeed. Back in Fire Sun Forest, this was proven to be true. Of course, this mainly depends on the choice of the true young heart. Treasures like the true young heart will automatically choose a flame. Only when it feels that the flame is worthy of it will it reveal its aura. Although the higher the grade of the flame, the more likely it is for the true young heart to reveal its aura. However, some rare flames will be favored by the true young heart even if they aren't eye-catching. Fire Sun Forest's true young heart revealed its aura to a low-grade flame, Snow Essence Fire. Ning Cheng suddenly realized. He thought these people were running around like headless flies. It turned out that these guys all had flames and could sense the traces of the true young heart. He didn't know who leaked this method, but it should be related to that guy with the Snow Essence Fire. Thinking about this, Ning Cheng cupped his fists towards the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor and said, "Thank you, Tao Friend. I plan to look for it myself." Hearing that Ning Qing didn't plan to cooperate, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor looked disappointed and left to find a new partner. Ning Qing felt sure that this guy had been here for a long time. His flame definitely couldn't attract the aura of the true young heart. Otherwise, why would he cooperate with others? Ning Qing brought out the celestial river flame and the nameless flame on his wrist and started to move around outside the 9 origin ice cave. To Ning Qing's disappointment, even after a whole day, Ning Qing couldn't find any clues or feel the aura of the true young heart. In desperation, Ning Qing could only choose an ice cave that his spiritual consciousness could only penetrate about 100 meters into. As soon as he entered the ice cave, Ning Qing felt a burst of cold. If not for the protection of his domain, his clothes would have turned into nothingness. This place might be more suitable for body forging, Ning Qing thought to himself as he brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City and carefully went in. The ice cave was crystal clear, and when the cold aura hit the everlasting Blue Thunder City, it made cracking sounds. Ning Qing had all kinds of icicles floating around him, looking like an upside-down fairy tale world. The more Ning Qing walked in, the more spacious it became. Icicles, ice lakes, ice mountains all appeared on both sides. After an hour, Ning Qing felt that it was getting colder and colder. He decided not to go in anymore. In addition to perseverance, one also needed opportunities to obtain treasures. If there was no opportunity, then even if one had perseverance, it would still be useless. Just at this time, Ning Qing heard a dull thud. Did someone dig the walls of the ice cave? Ning Qing was just about to move over when he heard the sound of broken ice falling to the ground, followed by a figure wearing a blue robe appearing in front of Ning Qing. This person did not seem to have expected to meet someone here. He looked at Ning Qing in doubt but did not speak. Instead, he turned around and continued to go deeper into Ning Qing's ice cave. Ning Qing did not want to talk to this person. Just when he was about to turn around and go out, the nameless flame on his wrist suddenly pulsed slightly. It seemed to have sensed something and sent out some messy pulsations. Ning Qing immediately felt excited in his heart. Could it be that the nameless flame felt the aura of the true young heart? His spiritual consciousness tried to communicate with the nameless flame, but the nameless flame was something that Ning Qing had refined later. Moreover, he had not upgraded it. As such, when communicating with the nameless flame, it was far inferior to the celestial river flame. In any case, the nameless flame pulsating now meant that there was something wrong with it. Maybe it wasn't the nameless flame, but the blue-robed cultivator from a moment ago. Since the blue-robed cultivator's flame could sense the true young heart, it also sensed it. Otherwise, how could he not have sensed it before the blue-robed cultivator came? The thought of finding the true young heart made Ning Qing excited. Ning Qing no longer thought of looking back and continued to follow the blue-robed cultivator. After half an incense stick worth of time, the blue-robed cultivator stopped and looked at Ning Qing coldly. "What does this Tao friend mean? Why are you following me?" This blue-robed cultivator was at the late-stage Tao transformation realm, while Ning Qing was at the early-stage Tao transformation realm. When he spoke to Ning Qing, his tone carried a hint of oppression. It seemed that if Ning Qing did not understand the situation, he would not blame him for being rude. Ning Qing frowned slightly and spoke with an equally unhappy tone. "Tao friend asked me what I mean. I also want to ask you what you mean. If Tao friend is reasonable, then I should have come to this ice cave first, right? You came in from another place, and I didn't say anything. Yet, you think that I shouldn't have come here? There is no such logic in this world." After hearing Ning Qing's words, the blue-robed cultivator seemed to feel that he was being a bit rude. He simply stopped and said, "In that case, Tao friend can go ahead. I will wait for Tao friend to go further before moving." The everlasting blue thunder fort above Ning Qing's head was a bit powerful. Although he was at the late-stage Tao transformation realm, he did not dare to attack Ning Qing for a while. Ning Qing suspected that the blue-robed cultivator had caused the nameless flame to jump. But now that the blue-robed cultivator asked him to go first, he felt embarrassed to stay here and argue. This person clearly didn't want to be with him. Ning Qing had to speed up his pace and move forward quickly. As he said, the blue-robed cultivator didn't move. After another incense stick worth of time, Ning Chung could still feel the nameless flames throbbing. It made him feel overjoyed. It seemed that he wasn't basking in the blue-robed cultivator's light, but because the nameless flame had indeed jumped. As more and more forks appeared in the depths of the cave, Ning Chung moved forward according to the direction of the nameless flames throbbing. Another 2 hours passed, but Ning Chung did not move forward. Instead, he stopped in front of an ice wall. The nameless flames throbbing pointed in another direction. It seemed that he wanted to dig a hole like the blue-robed cultivator. Before Ning Chung could move, he saw the blue-robed cultivator appear behind him again. Ning Cheng's face sank. "Dao friend, there are so many forks in this ice cave. Why do you have to follow me?" The blue-robed cultivator's face stiffened slightly, but he was secretly shocked. How could this person find the right direction? Just when the blue-robed cultivator was about to speak, Ning Chung suddenly stopped in front of him and said, "You don't have to say anything. I'll immediately dig this place and leave alone. I just hope that you don't follow me anymore. Otherwise, I will take it as a provocation." The blue-robed cultivator opened his mouth but closed it helplessly. Ning Chung had just said what he wanted to say. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, he was about to say that they would dig a hole here and leave. He didn't expect that this person would say it before him. From this, it could be seen that this Tao Transformation Divine Emperor with the everlasting blue thunder fort could also feel the throbbing flame from the true Yang heart. Chapter 1105. Walking the right way once or twice could be attributed to luck. After passing through so many forks in the road, Ning Chung was still able to walk in the right direction. It was definitely not luck. If it was something else, the blue-robed cultivator would have chosen to cooperate. But there was only one true Yang heart, and he would never cooperate with another person. Thinking of this, the blue-robed cultivator didn't wait for Ning Chung to do anything. He took out a talisman and said to Ning Chung, "It's my fault. I should have gotten out of the way first." After saying this, the blue-robed cultivator slapped the talisman on the ice wall and disappeared along with the talisman. He didn't even want to dig through the ice wall and slowly find the way. Instead, he took out the talisman and chased after him. Ning Chung cursed in his heart. This guy obviously wanted to get the true Yang heart before him. He couldn't let this guy find the true Yang heart first. Ning Chung broke through the ice wall and followed behind. In just half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Chung saw the blue-robed cultivator. The blue-robed cultivator also saw Ning Chung. The two stopped talking and just rushed through the ice cave with all their might. The two didn't know how many ice caves they had passed through and how many forks they had gone through. They only stopped when they heard a fierce quarrel. Ning Chung didn't stop because of the quarrel, but because the nameless flame sensed the pulsating aura here. Ning Chung could sense it, and so could the blue-robed cultivator. The quarrel was between 3 cultivators, 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 men were late-stage Tao Transformation cultivators. Ning Chung could tell at a glance, but he didn't take it seriously. Not to mention 2 late-stage Tao Transformation cultivators, even if he couldn't snatch the true Yang heart from 2 Tao Essence Holy Emperors, he could still walk away calmly. He was no longer the Tao Birth cultivator who would run away when he saw a Tao Essence Holy Emperor in the Divine Sea City. His gaze landed on the woman. She was wearing a black Taoist robe that even covered her neck. He felt that the female cultivator's cultivation was a bit strange. She seemed to be a Tao Essence Holy Emperor, but she also didn't seem to be one. Ning Chung didn't need to ask to guess that the quarrel between the 3 was about the true Yang heart. What puzzled Ning Chung was that if the woman was a Tao Essence Holy Emperor, why would she quarrel with 2 Tao Transformation Holy Emperors even if she had just advanced and her Tao runes weren't stable? Couldn't this woman beat 2 late-stage Tao Transformation cultivators? Ning Chung didn't believe that everyone was like him and could challenge Tao Essence. When the 3 of them saw Ning Chung and the blue-robed cultivator coming over, they subconsciously stopped quarreling and stared at the 2 of them with a frown. "Are you also here for the true Yang heart?" A late-stage Tao Transformation man with thick lips glanced coldly at Ning Chung and the blue-robed cultivator. "I don't know about others, but I really did come for the true Yang heart." Although the blue-robed cultivator answered, his mind was on the woman. He didn't fear Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, but this woman was suspected to be Tao Essence Divine Emperor. Even though she just reached Tao Essence Divine Emperor, she wasn't someone he could fight. The other bald man chuckled. I told you to finish the discussion as soon as possible. Now, there are 2 more. There is only one true young heart, and 5 people are fighting over it. How should we distribute it? You 2 get out of the way. The true young heart isn't for the 2 of you to divide. The Tao Essence woman's imposing aura suddenly pressed down on Ning Cheng and the blue-robed cultivator with an ice-cold tone. The blue-robed cultivator's expression changed slightly. He took a few steps back but didn't leave. Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort flashed with lightning, and the imposing aura rushing towards him was blown away by the lightning. Ning Cheng then caught a faint aura. Ning Cheng stared at the woman, who he thought was a Tao Essence Divine Emperor, in amazement. After a while, he asked, Are you a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor? Since you know, then get out of here. The woman's voice turned even colder, and her imposing aura once again surged out. Ning Cheng raised his hand, and the void cold light spear appeared in his hand. Even if you are a Tao Integration Divine Emperor, I will still take this true young heart. If you dare to suppress me with your imposing aura again, don't blame me for blasting you into pieces. As he spoke, the imposing aura that swept towards Ning Cheng dissipated in the void cold light spear. The reason why Ning Cheng dared to speak like this was because he vaguely felt that this woman was undergoing her first Heaven's Blight, Primordial Essence Blight. This woman's imposing aura contained a faint aura of decay. At the same time, Ning Cheng even saw some age spots on the woman's face. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also vaguely saw a large piece of skin on the woman's neck. Even her hair was sparse. There were no Tao runes around her, and she didn't have the imposing aura of a primordial essence expert. If the woman hadn't waved her hand in anger, Ning Cheng wouldn't have been able to see the side of her neck that she was covering. It was as if she had been buried in the ground for a long time and had just been dug out. The woman in black exuded an aura of decay. If this woman hadn't used her imposing aura to suppress him, he wouldn't have been able to see it. But now that this woman used her imposing aura to suppress him, he naturally guessed it. No wonder these 2 Tao Transformation Divine Emperors didn't leave and dared to compete with a Primordial Essence woman for the true young heart. If it was any other Tao Transformation Divine Emperor, they would also try their luck. Primordial Essence Divine Emperors were powerful, but the vast universe was vast. If you offended a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor, you would have many places to hide. The woman in black's hands trembled in anger. She was a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor, but she was being threatened by a Tao Transformation Divine Emperor. She regretted coming a step too late. She didn't expect her first Heaven's Blight to come so quickly and so ferociously. In fact, she was the first person to come here. The 2 Tao Transformation Divine Emperors who came later sensed her first Heaven's Blight and didn't want to leave. Now, 2 more Tao Transformation Divine Emperors had also sensed her first Heaven's Blight. This was her first time experiencing Heaven's Blight. She didn't expect that once she released her aura, the aura of decay would be so obvious. If she had known, she wouldn't have used her imposing aura to suppress Ning Cheng and the blue-robed cultivator. After Ning Cheng finished this sentence, the scene immediately quietened down. Under an ice bag a few hundred meters away from the 5 of them, the aura of the true young heart could be sensed. Everyone present knew that the true young heart was under that ice bag. Before, there were only 3 people. The 2 Tao Transformation Divine Emperors could bargain with the woman in black. But now that the woman in black exposed her severe decay aura, and there were 2 more people, the 5 of them were in a stalemate. No one was willing to make the first move. You name your conditions, I'll give you something, then you get out of the way. I'm determined to obtain this true young core. Whoever dares to snatch the true young heart from me, once I pass my first Heaven's Blight, I'll kill him first, the woman in black said in a cold tone. The 5 of them ignored the woman in black's words. Who didn't want the true young heart? Once you pass your first Heaven's Blight, when would it be? Spatial fluctuations came again, and the 5's expressions changed slightly. Everyone knew that someone else had come. The blue-robed cultivator's figure flashed, and he actually started to snatch it. Since the blue-robed cultivator started, the others naturally wouldn't wait and rushed towards the ice bag. The balance was broken. Ning Qing didn't use his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Now was not the time. The ice bag's laws were very strong. If he wanted to break it and take away the true young heart, he wouldn't be able to do it even if he arrived first. He put away the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Taking out the everlasting Blue Thunder City would definitely affect his speed when he escaped. Rumble. The 5 people's spirit essence landed on the ice bag at the same time. Each person's spirit essence contained their own spirit sense imprint. Crack. The ice bag was torn into pieces under the combined attacks of the 5 people, and a dazzling round stone the size of an adult's fist appeared. True young heart. Everyone's eyes were filled with passion as they crazily swept their spirit sense, wanting to take away the true young heart. At the same time that the true young heart was revealed, 3 more figures appeared in front of him. The 3 of them saw the exposed true young heart and didn't even bother to say a word. They just rushed up to snatch it. Ning Qing didn't even fear Tao Essence Divine Emperors, so how could he fear a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor and a few Tao Actualization Divine Emperors? His spirit sense surged out and instantly condensed into a dark consciousness storm. The dark consciousness storm wrapped around the true young heart, and the dark nether spirit devourer swept out at the same time, directly swallowing the other people's spirit sense towards the true young heart. At this time, how could Ning Qing show any mercy? The moment Ning Qing swallowed the rest of the spirit sense and the dark consciousness storm swept away the true young heart, several powerful spirit essence slammed into Ning Qing's body. In order to keep the true young heart, Ning Qing could only resist. The sound of bones breaking rang out, followed by several blood arrows. The true young heart, which had been swept away by Ning Qing's dark consciousness storm vortex, had disappeared. The next moment, under the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, Ning Qing disappeared without a trace. This person actually cultivated a vicious spiritual consciousness devouring cultivation method. Such a scum, if we don't kill him, there would be no justice. The people who came later saw Ning Qing swallowing the spirit sense and left. They left behind a reason before chasing after him. This reason was very powerful. It wasn't a grand one, but a threat. In other words, Ning Qing cultivated a vicious cultivation method that could devour spiritual consciousness. If someone with a weak sea of consciousness followed him, Ning Qing would most likely destroy their sea of consciousness. Except for the primordial chaos woman who was experiencing her first Deva's blight, no one gave up on chasing Ning Qing because of this sentence. Ning Qing was seriously injured, so who would want to let go of such an opportunity? Although these people were fast, they still couldn't match up to Ning Qing's twin wings of heavenly essence in the ice cave. What's more, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness grew stronger, and his speed kept increasing. He was indeed injured, but as a primordial Tao pill saint and a body-forging expert, this injury couldn't affect his speed. When Ning Qing rushed out of the ice cave and instantly disappeared, only the blue-robed cultivator was still chasing him. Ning Qing had thrown the others into the ice cave and hadn't come out yet. The blue-robed cultivator didn't have Ning Qing's twin wings of the heavenly clouds, but he had a pair of wind wheels under his feet. His speed wasn't any slower than Ning Qing's. In fact, it was slightly faster. Fortunately, Ning Qing had fled in front, while he chased after him from behind. This slight gap prevented him from catching up to Ning Qing. Similarly, Ning Qing couldn't shake off the other party. Ning Qing sighed. There really were many capable people in this world. The other party was only at the late-stage Tao transformation realm, but without the starry sky wheel, the other party's speed wasn't any slower than his. If he added a little flame to the wind wheels, Ning Qing would immediately think of the pair of wind-fire wheels. Chapter 1106. Both of them moved extremely fast. The blue-robed man followed Ning Qing like a maggot in a tarsal bone. Even after a few days, Ning Qing still could not shake him off. When Ning Qing saw a patch of black mud, he realized that he had returned to the Black Mud Canyon. Apart from the black mud, there was not a single person in the Black Mud Canyon. The place that was once full of God's spiritual veins now looked a little quiet. Ningcheng stopped. Although he could not bring out the starry sky wheel in the Jiaoliang mountain, he still had an advantage in speed. Since the blue-robed man could follow him so closely, it was hard to guarantee that he could shake off the other party with the starry sky wheel after leaving the Jiaoliang mountain. In case he could not shake off the other party after leaving the Jiaoliang mountain, maybe the news of him obtaining the true young heart would have already spread. At that time, the blue-robed man would not be the only one chasing him. You should have stopped long ago. If you leave the Jiaoliang mountain, you won't even be able to escape 1,000,000 miles away. Seeing Ningcheng stop, the blue-robed man sneered and stopped in front of Ningcheng. Whether it was his words or his actions, they all exuded a strong sense of confidence. It seemed that as long as Ningcheng stopped, he would never be able to leave. The wind wheel under the blue-robed man's feet still remained. Instead, a giant dipper-shaped weapon suddenly appeared above his head. The giant dipper was engraved with patterns of mountains and rivers, which exuded a powerful aura of Tao charm. It was as grand as the rivers and mountains diagram. At a glance, Ningcheng knew that this thing was not any weaker than his everlasting blue thunder city. In fact, it was far stronger than the void cold light spear he refined. The everlasting blue thunder city did not have an artifact spirit, so it obviously could not compare to the other party's mountain river giant dipper. Ningcheng did not speak. He raised his hand, and the void cold light spear appeared in it. As for the everlasting blue thunder city, he did not bring it out. He did not need to be so nervous when dealing with a late-stage Tao transformation cultivator. This blue-robed man did not put him in his eyes. In fact, Ningcheng also did not put the other party in his eyes. Before I set foot on the sun-moon wind wheels, it was normal for you not to recognize me. I believe that after I set foot on the sun-moon wind wheels, you should have recognized me, right? You know who I am, yet you still dare to escape. You must have some guts. The blue-robed man sneered. Ningcheng almost laughed out loud. Who was this person? Why did he have such a strong sense of superiority? Hand over the true young heart, and I won't let you suffer a loss. I'll give you a top-grade spiritual vein and 50 million spirit crystals. The blue-robed man didn't give Ningcheng a chance to speak. Ningcheng was speechless as he spoke. I'm really sorry, I really don't know who you are. The true young heart was snatched by me. I do not intend to sell it. Even if he wanted to sell it, 50 million God crystals and a supreme-grade God spiritual vein wouldn't be enough to buy his true young heart. The blue-robed man revealed an evil smile. Good, interesting indeed. You didn't disappoint me. When he said the last word, the mountain river dipper above his head distorted in the void, instantly locking up the surrounding space. A whirlpool-like law power directly surrounded Ningcheng, and Ningcheng's domain instantly melted under this law power. This powerful vortex seemed as if it wanted to sweep Ningcheng away from the void and send him into the mountain river dipper. Not only that, but the Tao charm laws emanating from the mountain and river dipper also wrapped around Ningcheng, making him unable to move at all. No wonder this blue-robed man spoke so arrogantly. This blue-robed man did have some means. A late-stage Tao transformation holy emperor could grind away Ningcheng's domain without even bringing out his weapon. Whether it was because of his weapon or not, this guy was very strong. Ningcheng, who was bound by the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper, didn't move. Instead, the law aura automatically spread out like ripples. The Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper that bound Ningcheng were like thin ice. Ningcheng's body shook and tore it apart. The Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper grew weaker and weaker. Law-breaking spirit technique. The blue-robed man obviously wasn't an ignorant person. He saw Ningcheng easily break free from the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper before the vortex completely fell on him. Moreover, he even weakened the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper, allowing him to break free without any danger. This was a law-breaking spirit technique. It could break and weaken the laws of the surrounding space, weakening the opponent's spirit technique while not affecting one's own spirit technique. In fact, it could even strengthen one's own spirit technique. Sure enough, as soon as the blue-robed man saw Ningcheng break free from the mountain and river dipper's law, a long spear that tore through the void blasted over. The domain space around him also shattered under the opponent's long spear. The long spear left no trace as it rolled up spear patterns. The blue-robed man panicked and no longer cared about dealing with Ning Cheng. The mountain and river dipper turned into a mountain and river barrier in front of him. Since his debut, this was the first time he had faced someone with a lower cultivation level than him in such a difficult situation. Under normal circumstances, as long as he brought out the mountain and river dipper, the Dao charm laws would bind the opponent. Even if the opponent was a perfected Dao transformation cultivator, they could only watch helplessly as his mountain and river dipper swept them away. But now, not only did the opponent not let his mountain and river dipper finish speaking, but he also used his long spear to talk to him. Boom! The violent divine essence and nomological power collided. The spear patterns and the Dao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper collapsed, creating a huge pit in the black mud below. The Dao charm of the mountain and river dipper seemed to disperse in one go, and Ning Cheng's spear patterns also turned into nothingness at this moment. An ice-cold aura permeated the blue-robed man's body, causing him to shiver. The mist formed by the ice-cold aura instantly wrapped him in a thin layer of ice. Fortunately, the mountain and river dipper was too powerful. It directly blasted away Ning Cheng's void cold light spear, and the mountain and river Dao charm aura also shattered the thin layer of ice. The blue-robed man finally recovered and raised his hand to swallow an elixir pill. At this moment, he understood that Ning Cheng was very strong. While swallowing the elixir pill, the endless Dao charm aura permeated the mountain and river dipper. No matter how strong the opponent was, he didn't believe that the mountain and river dipper couldn't take away an early-stage Dao transformation cultivator. Ning Cheng marveled at the power of the opponent's mountain and river dipper when he suddenly saw the mountain and river dipper's vortex nomological power disappear. A bright three-dimensional painting of mountains and rivers appeared in front of him. At this moment, the mountain and river dipper's nomological power and Dao charm aura became even more majestic. The endless mountain and river Dao charm swept through the space above the black mud and struck Ning Cheng's mind like a morning bell and evening drum. Whether it was the subjective consciousness or the objective space, it urged Ning Cheng to take a step forward and enter the middle of the mountain and river dipper. Below the mountain and river dipper, the blue-robed man's face turned pale and his body trembled. He finally felt Ning Cheng's strength. Ning Cheng's spiritual sense wasn't something a Dao transformation divine emperor should have. Even a Dao essence divine emperor's spiritual sense might not be stronger than the other parties. This was the first time he had used the mountain and river dipper to take someone in. As long as he couldn't affect the opponent for even a moment, he would definitely suffer a backlash. The blue-robed man finally remembered his father's words. The mountain and river dipper is a treasure, but your cultivation is too low. Your spiritual sense can't completely control the mountain and river dipper. You're not allowed to use this thing against the enemy before reaching Dao Essence realm. Otherwise, you'll suffer. He was shocked in his heart as to how Ning Cheng cultivated his spiritual consciousness. Not only was it powerful, but it also had a sharp edge to it, but it was also so majestic. The blue-robed man finally couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face turned even paler. He knew that he had to leave. Otherwise, not to mention taking away his opponent, he might even die here. Ning Cheng was surrounded by the endless mountain and river Dao charm. If his spiritual sense was slightly weaker, he would have already entered the mountain and river dipper. As he resisted the mountain river dipper's mountain river rhythm, he quickly noticed that the mountain river dipper's mountain river rhythm was weakening. It seemed that the other party's spiritual sense was far inferior to his. The reason why the other party could resist him until now was mainly because of this mountain and river dipper. It was a good treasure, but it was a waste for this blue-robed man to use it. This blue-robed man couldn't use the mountain and river dipper's power at all. When Ning Cheng turned the situation around, he saw the blue-robed man take out another talisman. Ning Cheng felt anxious. This guy was simply too rich. He could take out a talisman at any time. Once this guy escaped, he wouldn't be able to keep the mountain and river dipper. Ning Cheng didn't think about it anymore. A blue stone arch bridge appeared directly under his feet. Ning Cheng only took one step at the bridgehead before he landed in the center of the bridge. A roaring yellow river also began to roll around Ning Cheng's body. It was as if a yellow dragon was angry. The blue-robed man's talisman had just activated. He looked at the roaring yellow river in shock. His eyes were filled with shock as he murmured, "This is the 4th Yellow Springs Bridge." Just as his voice fell, the yellow river around Ning Cheng's body swept away the mountain and river dipper, bringing it directly into the yellow river. At the same time, the blue-robed man's talisman also brought out a ray of light that swept him away. Ning Cheng secretly felt that it was a pity. If this person had been even a breath later, this person wouldn't have been able to escape. Ning Cheng put away the Yellow Springs Bridge. At the same time, Ning Cheng also placed a restriction on the mountain and river dipper before throwing it into the mysterious yellow bead. When he had the time, he would slowly refine this thing. Ning Cheng also did not stop. He turned around and stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. In an instant he disappeared from above the black mud. The rolling black mud trembled because of the fight between the two people. Although the two people had left, the black mud had not completely calmed down. A red figure suddenly floated up from the middle of the rolling black mud. He did not even have a single drop of black mud on his body. The red figure stared at the direction where Ning Cheng disappeared and murmured, "The 4th Yellow Springs Bridge of the 7 Bridges Spiritual Techniques." It even took away the Boundless Palace's Feng clan's mountain and river dipper. Where did this young man come from? How could he be so strong? Ning Cheng and the blue-robed man fought above the black mud. They did not know that there was someone else below the black mud. Not only that, but they also saw their fight. Even if they knew about it, Ning Cheng had no way to care about it. No matter who the blue-robed man was, Ning Cheng knew that the other party's background was not small. After rushing out of the Jiaoliang mountain, Ning Cheng immediately brought out the starry sky wheel and rushed out. Although the Jiaoliang mountain had many good things, it was not suitable for him to stay here. It was enough for him to obtain the true Yang heart. Not to mention that in addition to the true Yang heart, he also obtained the mountain and river dipper. For a long time, the mountain and river dipper was probably the most valuable of his spoils. Chapter 1107. After Ning Cheng left the Jiaoliang mountain, the news of another true Yang heart appearing in the Jiaoliang mountain's 9 primordial ice cave had already spread. There were too many treasures in the Jiaoliang mountain. Therefore, the news of a true Yang heart appearing only lasted for a while before it was replaced by other topics. Luo-Yi Heaven Void City, the place where Ning Cheng and Mang Yong decided to join forces. Ning Cheng disguised himself as a black-faced, long-haired rogue cultivator and came here again. He didn't go far. If not for the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, Ning Cheng would have already left Luo-Yi Heaven Void City and returned to the Grand Essence Realm to enter the 4 Grand Starry Skies from the Grand Essence Realm. With the appearance of the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, Ning Cheng didn't want to miss this opportunity. He didn't want to find Mang Yong right now. He had just obtained the true Yang heart, so he had to refine it first. In case Mang Yong advanced to the Tao Origin Realm, he would have to be more careful. Mang Yong seemed like a good person, but it was better to be careful about this kind of deep cooperation. The Wondrous Wood Rest Stop wasn't a big rest stop in Luo-Yi Heaven Void City. Of course, it wasn't a small rest stop either. Ning Cheng decided to stay in the Wondrous Wood Rest Stop. Although the mysterious yellow bead wouldn't expose any aura, Ning Cheng still put up one restriction after another in the rest stop room. At the same time, he let Chasing Bull stand guard outside. Entering the mysterious yellow bead, Ning Cheng immediately took out the true Yang heart. For the sake of this true Yang core, he had spent more than 10 years in total. The true Yang heart looked like a ruby and exuded a flame-like aura of Tao charm. As soon as the true Yang heart came out, the celestial river flame and the nameless flame started to beat violently. Would this true Yang heart evolve for the celestial river flame or the nameless flame? Ning Cheng felt a little embarrassed. The celestial river flame had been with him the longest, and the celestial river flame had a higher grade than the nameless flame. Letting the celestial river flame evolve first was a natural thing to do. However, he could obtain the true Yang heart thanks to the nameless flame. The true Yang heart gave the nameless flame a message, but it didn't give the celestial river flame any information. Ning Qing raised his hand and brought out the nameless flame. Looking at the pure white flame dancing in his palm, he spoke with an apologetic tone. Nameless, this time I will let celestial river advance first. With the advancement of the celestial river spear, my strength would also increase by a lot. At the same time, refining that nirvana spear would also become a lot easier. Don't worry, I will not disappoint you in the future. I will also find you a true Yang core. There's also a 10,000 needles lake in the Jiaoliang mountain. Once my cultivation level increases, I'll go there to take a look. Besides, you haven't reached the peak of divine flame yet. There will always be a chance. After Ning Qing finished speaking, the nameless flames stopped beating. However, Ning Qing could still feel that the nameless flame's mood was a little down. Advancing to the sacred flame stage was not only the goal of every cultivator with a flame, it was also the goal of every flame. Putting away the nameless flame, Ning Qing brought out the celestial river flame that looked like a vast starry sky. As soon as he brought out the celestial river flame, Ning Qing immediately caught a strand of extremely excited thoughts. Then, the celestial river flame, just like a celestial river pouring down, directly swept away the true Yang core in Ning Qing's hand. Waves of flame law ripples surged out, and the scorching light illuminated almost half of the world of heaven and earth. The terrifying temperature made Ning Qing feel like he was losing control. The fire-attributed Tao charm laws within the flame's radiance formed a circle around Ning Qing, forming a lake of fire around him. Ning Qing's spiritual sense could vaguely feel the celestial river flame growing stronger and stronger. Not knowing for how long, the horrifying and scorching law flame ripples slowly melted, and a purple flame appeared in Ning Qing's palm. Ning Qing's consciousness fell on the purple flame, and the vast and boundless universe of flames flooded over. It felt as long as he issued a command, this flame could turn the entire universe into ashes. Ning Qing knew that it was an illusion, but in any case, his celestial river flame had successfully advanced to the sacred flame stage. Master, I finally succeeded in advancing to the sacred flame stage. The celestial river flame's excited and crisp voice sounded like the first cry of a young oriole. Ning Qing felt overjoyed and didn't care what the celestial river flame called him. He directly grabbed the nirvana spear and said, I'll give you a name in the future. Let's call it Star. He named it Star because after the celestial river flame advanced to the sacred flame stage, Ning Qing felt the power of the celestial river flame. It felt as if it could burn the entire universe. A single spark could start a prairie fire. Maybe in the future, the celestial river flame could really burn the entire universe. Of course, this was under his command. Yes, Master. I'll be called Star from now on. The celestial river flame grew even more excited. Choosing its master was the right choice. How long had it been? It had already advanced to the sacred flame stage, and in the future, it might even become the premier flame in the vast starry sky. In addition to excitement, it also felt proud in its heart. It couldn't help but feel proud of itself. Which fire seed had such foresight? When it was a seed, it had chosen Ning Qing, a rogue cultivator who hadn't even reached the true condensation realm. This kind of foresight was simply the first in the world. As for the fact that it had chosen Ning Qing because of the mysterious yellow aura around Ning Qing, it had long since forgotten about it. When Ning Qing first obtained the nirvana spear, it was covered in rust. Later, Ning Qing scraped off some of the rust on the outside, making it look like an ordinary iron rod. However, this iron rod was something that Ning Qing couldn't melt or refine. Even after the celestial river flame advanced to the spirit flame stage, it still couldn't melt this iron rod. Now that the celestial river flame had advanced to the sacred flame stage, if it still couldn't melt this iron rod, Ning Qing decided to give up. The celestial river flame had failed to melt the nirvana spear several times, which made it even more annoyed. Now that it had advanced to the sacred flame stage, and its master had taken out the Nirvana spear, it was clear that he wanted it to try again. But before Ning Cheng could speak, the celestial river flame swept over and wrapped around the Nirvana spear after receiving its name. Chi-chi, a sizzling sound rang out, and the Nirvana spear, which couldn't be melted, started to emit sizzling sounds under the influence of the celestial river flame. A few minutes later, the outer layer of the Nirvana spear melted away, revealing the black spear body. Wait! Ning Cheng immediately stopped the celestial river flame when he saw the black spear body. He raised his hand and grabbed the black spear body. Although it was just an iron-like spear body, it felt as heavy as a planet. Under the strong contrast of weight, Ning Cheng almost couldn't hold it. Ning Cheng sucked in a breath of cold air. He had advanced to the Tao Transformation Holy Emperor realm. In other words, if he hadn't reached Tao Confirming realm, he wouldn't have been able to pick up this black iron rod at all. The celestial river flame had melted away the outermost layer of restrictions on the Nirvana spear, which allowed ordinary people to pick up the spear. But now that the celestial river flame had melted away the restriction, it seemed that the black iron rod had regained its original weight. So powerful, Ning Cheng looked at the black iron rod in his hand, which exuded a primal chaos aura, and felt shocked. What he meant by powerful was not only the Nirvana spear's outer restrictions, but also the outer layer of restrictions. It was a trivial matter that the spirit flame couldn't burn it. Moreover, with his attainments in the Tao of arrays and restrictions, he couldn't see any clues. Who was able to set up this kind of restriction? He couldn't even imagine it. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the black iron rod in his hand, and his spiritual consciousness slowly seeped into it. His spiritual consciousness could feel thousands of primal chaos auras on the surface of the black iron rod. I know what this material is. Ning Cheng's eyes lit up, and his mind turned even more excited. Master, what is this? I only feel that it's very powerful, but I believe that I can melt this iron rod and even refine it into a weapon. Xingxing quickly asked. After asking, it quickly expressed that it was very powerful. There was only one true Yang heart, and the master had given it to it after weighing the pros and cons. If it had advanced to the sacred flame and still had no ability, the master would have been very disappointed. Ning Cheng's voice trembled with excitement. I'm sure that this is the heaven-opening Iron Mother. It has a primal chaos aura that can split the heavens and the earth, and also has a powerful Law Dao charm. If you want to use the heaven-opening Iron Mother to refine a weapon, the first step is not to melt it with flames, but to refine this Iron Mother first, and then refine it into an artifact. After saying that, Ning Cheng felt even more excited. Originally, he needed Twilight Sand, Heaven-Opening Iron Mother, and 5-element Spirit Water to craft the Spirit-Severing Spear. He didn't expect that by chance, he would have already obtained the Heaven-Opening Iron Mother. But now, to refine the Spirit-Severing Spear, he only needed the 5-element Spirit Water. Only one auxiliary material was missing, so Ning Cheng decided to try his luck. The last half of the wood origin bead was with Tian Muan, and he wanted to see it. If he could get it, he would do everything in his power to find the breath soil. With the wood origin group and the breath soil, his mysterious yellow bead could not only be perfected, but it could also produce the 5-element Spirit Water. Instead of letting the celestial river flame continue to refine the heaven-opening Iron Mother, Ning Cheng decided to refine this iron while looking for the breath soil. Putting away the heaven-opening Iron Mother, Ning Cheng calmed down for a while before taking out the Mountain River Dipper. The Mountain River Dipper was a good thing. Ning Cheng had already realized it when he fought against the blue-robed man. If he refined the Mountain River Dipper, it would provide him with a powerful boost. 5 days later, Ning Cheng's face turned gloomy as he sealed the Mountain River Dipper even more tightly. He couldn't refine the Mountain River Dipper because the dipper contained an artifact spirit. Not only did the artifact spirit not allow him to refine the Mountain River Dipper, but it also wanted to destroy his sea of consciousness while he was refining the Mountain River Dipper. If he wanted to refine the Mountain River Dipper safely, the easiest way was to reach the Tao Essence Holy Emperor realm. There was also another way, and that was to find a way to kill the blue-robed man. Ning Cheng did not want to destroy a rare treasure like the mountain and river bucket. In fact, even if he wanted to destroy it, it would not be a simple matter. Moreover, he had to rely on the celestial river dipper, which had just evolved into a sacred flame. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to destroy it even if he wanted to. After putting away the mountain river dipper, Ning Cheng left the mysterious yellow bead. He was currently at the early stage Dao transformation realm. If he wanted to cultivate, he would need a lot of cultivation resources. Moreover, he was about to reach the second step of Dao confirming realm, and the mysterious yellow bead had yet to be completely perfected. Cultivating in the mysterious yellow bead would not be appropriate. After discussing the Dao with Nian Yan, he also gained some insights in his heart. It would be best if he perfected the mysterious yellow bead's world laws, rather than letting the mysterious yellow bead perfect his grand Dao laws. If he cultivated in the mysterious yellow bead, it would only help the mysterious yellow bead perfect his grand Dao laws. Ning Cheng decided to contact Mang Yong. But when he walked out of the rest stop, he immediately felt that something was wrong in Luo Yi's Heaven Void City. Chapter 1108. The number of people on the streets suddenly increased, and there were more experts than before he went into seclusion. Primordial Dao Divine Emperors and Primordial Chaos Divine Emperors were also coming and going. The major commercial houses became even more lively, and Ning Cheng found that the advertisements for the auction were also coming one after another. The only impression Ning Cheng had was that many experts came here to buy things. Ning Cheng knew that although this place was bustling, it was not a place with treasures everywhere. If he really wanted to buy all kinds of rare treasures, he might as well wait in the Immortal Falling Boat Void City. At least, the Immortal Falling Boat Void City was the direct export point of the Jiaoliang Mountain. Why would he come to the Luo Yi Heaven Void City? Ning Cheng thought about it and took out his communication pearl to send a message to Mang Yong. Ning Cheng did not receive a reply from Mang Yong. In just half an hour, Mang Yong arrived at the Strangewood Rest. Brother Ning, I knew you would be fine. I didn't expect you to return to the Luo Yi Heaven Void City. Mang Yong's enthusiastic voice came from afar. Even though Ning Cheng's appearance was completely different from the last time, Mang Yong still recognized him at first glance. The people who snatched the God Spirit veins in the Black Clay Canyon are all experts. My cultivation level is too low, so I was afraid that I would die there. Although I want good things, I have to do my best. I can't compare to Brother Mang. Ning Cheng chuckled and cupped his fists. He could see that Mang Yong's cultivation level was deeper than 2 or 3 years ago. Mang Yong quickly waved his hand. I was just lucky to snatch 1 or 2 God Spirit veins. Brother Ning, let's go somewhere else to talk in detail. However, I don't have time to go to the Jiaoliang Mountain recently. After half an hour, Ning Cheng and Mang Yong sat in a private room of a rest stop. Mang Yong seemed to have his ways in the Luo Yi Heaven Void City. There were so many cultivators here, but he still found a private room very quickly. Brother Mang, because I offended a few experts, I had to disguise myself. Please forgive me. Ning Cheng saw that Mang Yong did not mention his disguise, so he simply said it. That's right. I often disguise myself to escape, Mang Yong said without a care. Ning Cheng hurriedly said, Brother Mang, I'm afraid that it would be difficult to reach the primordial Dao and cross the Jiaoliang Mountain to find traces of third-step experts. With Brother Mang's talent and great luck, I think it will take a few years to prove the Dao primordial Dao, and I will need even more time. Because of my lack of cultivation resources and the fact that there are too many experts on Jiaoliang Mountain, it is not suitable for me to search for treasures. Therefore, I don't have anything to do recently. I don't know if Brother Mang can tell me where the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit is. I want to try my luck there. Otherwise, I would really have nowhere to go and could only wander the void. Ning Cheng knew that Mang Yong wouldn't tell him about the location of the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit so easily. Therefore, he said those words to Mang Yong. If you don't tell me about the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, then I won't bother to cooperate with you anymore. Mang Yong showed a smile. I will definitely help you find the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit. You don't have to worry about it. It's very complicated to express the location on a jade slip. I'll take you there when the time comes. But I want to tell you another thing now. Do you know why so many experts have come to Luo Yi's Heaven Void City recently? Ning Qing wanted to pressure him a bit more. But after hearing Mang Yong's words, he temporarily put down the matter of the artifact spirit and asked in doubt, "What's the reason?" The Limitless Palace's senior Feng Xian comprehended the Supreme Grand Tao and decided to hold a Tao discussion forum in the Five Realms Palace. He also invited experts from all over the world as guests. Mang Yong spoke with excitement. Limitless Palace's Feng Xian? The Supreme Grand Tao is the third step of Tao confirming? Ning Qing asked. What kind of place was the Limitless Palace? As for who Feng Xian was, he really didn't know. Mang Yong looked at Ning Qing for a while before asking, "Of course, it's not the third step. But Brother Ning, don't tell me you don't even know about the Limitless Palace and Senior Feng Xian?" Ning Qing showed an awkward smile. "I really don't know." Mang Yong explained with a defeated look on his face. Senior Feng Xian is the Limitless Palace's palace master. He has a nickname called Limitless Feng Xian. It means that his strength has already surpassed most of the powerhouses in the surrounding boundaries. There is also another meaning, that is, Feng Xian is very popular and has made friends with almost all the heroes and powerhouses from all over the world. His friends are not limited by the boundaries, and there is no distinction between good and bad character. As long as one has the ability, one can become his friend. Therefore, many people feel proud to be friends with Feng Xian, because if you become a friend of Feng Xian, it shows that you have the ability. So the Limitless Palace is very strong? Ning Qing also admired this kind of people who made friends with the vast starry sky. It was difficult for a person to cultivate to a certain level, and few powerhouses would spend a lot of time and energy to make friends from all over the world. Mang Yong's eyes showed a yearning look, very strong, and once something happens, as long as Feng Xian calls out, all the powerhouses from all over the world will come to help. If I had such strength, I wouldn't. Mang Yong didn't continue, but Ning Qing guessed that Mang Yong might have offended someone, which caused him to flee. Are you planning to go there too? Ning Qing asked. Of course, in addition to waiting for you, I also want to go to the Limitless Palace to meet Senior Feng Xian and listen to Feng Xian's Tao discussion. Did you see the many powerhouses in Luo Yi Tian's Void City? They all came here to buy gifts and then go to the Limitless Palace. Because there is a teleportation array in Luo Yi Tian that leads directly to the outside of the Limitless Palace. Mang Yong smiled. Ning Qing said with some speechlessness, with so many people going there must be a lot of people who didn't even have a chance to talk to Feng Xian, right? Did these people go there just to listen to the Tao? Does that mean Feng Xian's Tao is very strong? Mang Yong nodded solemnly. When it comes to Tao discussion, Feng Xian's Tao discussion can definitely attract any primordial chaos holy emperor to listen. I haven't heard Senior Feng Xian's Tao discussion, but I've heard others talk about it. Even the Tao discussion he talked about has benefited me a lot. If I go there to listen in person, how many benefits would I get? I heard that this time, Feng Xian comprehended some heaven and earth Tao charm of the third step and wanted to share it with others. Moreover, this is just one of them. Every time Feng Xian discusses the Tao, he will give away the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit for free. As long as you go to the Limitless Palace, everyone will get one. Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit? Ning Qing asked in a surprised voice. As a primordial Tao pill saint who had seen the universe vegetation, Ning Qing naturally knew what a Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit was. The Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit wasn't a Tao fruit, but it wasn't any less valuable than any Tao fruit below the primordial Tao realm. It could even be comparable to many primordial Tao fruits because primordial chaos holy emperors could use the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit. It was a Tao fruit for spirit technique comprehension. No matter what spirit technique you comprehended or cultivated, as long as your spirit technique was a law spirit technique, taking the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit would yield twice the results with half the effort. The Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit was rarely seen, but Ning Qing didn't expect the Limitless Palace to produce it. Only Feng Xian of the Limitless Palace has such boldness. Therefore, every time he discusses the Tao, it is when the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit ripens. Every time, he would give away hundreds of thousands of Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit, which happens to be the most abundant divine fruit in the limitless palace. Mang Yong explained with admiration in his eyes. With so many people in the Luo-E Heaven Void City preparing gifts to go to the limitless palace, it showed how attractive the limitless palace's Feng Science Dao discussion was. Having said that, although Feng Xian took out a lot of Mahakasyapa heavenly fruits, he also got a lot of good things. It wasn't a loss. Maybe Feng Xian earned more. These people wanted to listen to Feng Xian's Dao discussion and taste the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit. Naturally, they wouldn't take out 2 weak gifts. How long until the limitless palace's Dao discussion? Ning Cheng looked at Mang Yong's expression and knew that Mang Yong would definitely go. Since Mang Yong wanted to go to the limitless palace, he could only follow. As for the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, he wouldn't ask about it for the time being. Before Mang Yong returned from the limitless palace, he definitely wouldn't say anything about it. There's still half a year left. During this time, more and more people will come to the limitless palace. We'll wait here. When the time comes, you can also prepare a gift. Let's go to the limitless palace to listen to the Dao discussion. Mang Yong replied. Ning Cheng sighed and said, "It looks like I can only wait here for half a year. I'm also planning to find a place to cultivate." Mang Yong patted Ning Cheng's shoulder. "Brother Ning, you don't have to worry. You can't improve your cultivation in half a year. Why don't we go take a look at the auction?" Ning Cheng waved his hand. "Brother Mang, you can go by yourself. I'll go cultivate. My strength is too low. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten nothing in the Jiaoyang Mountains Black Clay Canyon." Mang Yong watched Ning Cheng leave with a slight frown. He always felt that although Ning Cheng wasn't as good as him, he wasn't too weak. Since he got slapped in the face, he had always been cautious and never did anything self-righteous. Half a year passed by in a hurry. Ning Cheng didn't leave the rest stop and went into seclusion to study the Tao of crafting. Now that the celestial river flame had evolved into a sacred flame, he also had to prepare for crafting a good fortune spirit artifact. During this free time, he naturally wanted to study the Tao of crafting. Studying the Tao of crafting for half a year was too short for Ning Cheng. It reminded Ning Cheng of the ancient mysterious clan's tree ring in the Grand Essence Sea. If he could study the Tao of crafting for half a year under the tree ring, how much time would he save? Thinking of the tree ring, Ning Cheng suddenly had an idea. If he asked the ancient mysterious clan for a branch of the tree ring, could he plant another tree ring in the mysterious yellow bead? Thinking of this, Ning Cheng found it difficult to calm down. The ancient mysterious clan had always treated him well. Moreover, he was also a primordial Tao pill saint. Plus, he had many good things on him. It wasn't impossible for him to ask the ancient mysterious clan for a branch. The restriction at the door activated, forcing Ning Cheng to suppress his thoughts. He decided to go to the ancient mysterious clan as soon as he returned to the Grand Essence realm. Opening the restriction, Mang Yong arrived at the door. "Brother Ning, we can go now." He came to ask Ning Cheng to go to the Boundless Realm Palace. Chapter 1109. There were a lot of people heading to the Boundless Palace, and no one was fighting for the transmission slot. Since Ning Cheng entered the Starry Sky to cultivate, it was the first time he saw such a polite and modest reception. It seemed that the people here had more or less a kinship with the Boundless Palace because of this. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Feng Xian was truly powerful. These people were courteous to him because of Feng Xian. If someone fought on the way to Feng Xian's Tao right, that person would probably feel embarrassed to go to the Boundless Palace's Tao right. Luo Yi's Heaven Void City's transmission array directly sent Ning Cheng and the others to a huge public square outside the Boundless Palace. When Ning Cheng and Mang Yong walked out of the transmission array and arrived at the public square, tens of thousands of cultivators had already gathered there. Despite the tens of thousands of cultivators in the public square, it still looked empty. The public square had free top-grade divine tea, top-grade wine, and all kinds of Tao fruits. Anyone could taste them as long as they came here. Ning Cheng secretly admired Feng Xian's forthrightness and generosity. Even if everyone came to him with gifts, he still allowed people to drink the wine brewed from these high-grade divine grasses. It was truly a generous gesture. Ning Cheng also poured a cup, but in Ning Cheng's opinion, the taste was only above average. Compared to his improved none to depend on wine, it was far worse. Looking through the restrictions on the public square, one could see a vibrant planet outside, which reminded Ning Cheng of Earth. The starland outside the public square is the Boundless Palace. The Boundless Palace is famous because of Senior Feng. Mang Yong also picked up a cup of wine and came to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng noticed that Mang Yong's tone had changed slightly. Before, he would occasionally address Feng Xian or Feng Xian most of the time. But now, he directly addressed Feng Xian as Senior Feng. It seemed that this fellow was afraid that his words would spread out. Before Ning Cheng could speak, a clear voice sounded from above the public square. The Boundless Palace welcomes all Dao friends as guests. Now, please proceed to the Boundless Palace's Dao right. After the voice fell, many cultivators began to line up to enter a transmission array in the depths of the public square. Ning Cheng followed Mang Yong in line. Seeing that everyone who entered the transmission array gave a gift to the female cultivators standing at the entrance, Ning Cheng also prepared a gift. Ning Cheng didn't have much interest in this Dao discussion. If not for following Mang Yong and getting news about the Starry Sky Wheel, Ning Cheng wouldn't have come here. Therefore, the gift Ning Cheng prepared was very simple, just a high-rank spirit artifact. Actually, a high-grade god artifact was not considered a bad thing. It was just that it was not worth mentioning here. For Ning Cheng, this was just a magical weapon that he had refined himself. Brother Ning, I suggest that you choose a more precious gift. Mang Yong, who was standing beside Ning Cheng, saw Ning Cheng take out a jade box and sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng. Why? Ning Cheng was a little puzzled. Feng Xian was a generous person, even if he did not send a gift. According to Mang Yong, Feng Xian would not care about it. Hee. Mang Yong chuckled. After Senior Phoenix's Dao discussion ends, there will be a trade fair. The exchange fair didn't select participants based on their cultivation, but based on the grade of the gift each person had given, whether they were qualified to participate or not. If your gift is too poor, you won't be qualified to enter the trade fair. I suggest you participate in this trade fair. There are all kinds of good things there. There are only things you can't afford, and there's nothing you can't see. Hearing this, Ning Cheng immediately felt tempted. The people who came here included almost all the powerhouses from the various interfaces in the surroundings. What kind of good things would come out of such a trade fair? At his level of cultivation opportunities were the most important thing. If one could participate in a trade fair of this level and scale, it would be considered an opportunity. How many people will participate in this trade fair? Ning Cheng estimated that there would be more than 100,000 people participating in this Dao discussion. Generally, more than 5,000 people will participate. In any case, no more than 10,000 people will participate. Sometimes, only 3,000 people will participate. Mang Yong explained. After listening to Mang Yong's explanation, Ning Cheng put away the high-grade spirit artifact and replaced it with a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit. 4 ordinary first-step Dao confirming holy emperors, a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit might not necessarily be more valuable than a high-grade spirit artifact. But for some peak-level holy emperors, 100 high-grade spirit artifacts might not even be comparable to a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit. The pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit was also a rare Dao fruit. Ning Cheng had obtained the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit from the Grand Essence Ruins Shadow Burial Blue Sand. At that time, he didn't get much, just a few. This Dao fruit had one advantage. It didn't need to be refined into pills. Any seriously injured holy emperor could take it, and it was much better than medicinal pills. Moreover, for alchemy masters, this Dao fruit contained a natural Dao pill, which was a good thing for comprehending the Dao of alchemy. In terms of value, the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit was even better than some Dao essence Dao fruits. Ning Cheng estimated that he could get a seat among 5,000 people by taking out the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit. The teleportation gate moved quickly, and it didn't take long before Ning Cheng and Mang Yong's turn arrived. Ning Cheng engraved his name on the jade box and handed it to the cultivator who welcomed the guests. After entering the teleportation gate, the space in front of Ning Cheng fluctuated a bit, and he found himself standing on a hillside with rich spirit qi. Not only was the spirit qi rich enough to make people envious, but the surrounding heaven and earth laws and Tao charm were also extremely complete, no weaker than the Grand Change realm. Ning Cheng looked around. Not only were there hillsides, but there were also lakes, bamboo forests, plains, glaciers and so on. Most of the places were already occupied, and many people were sitting in the same place with their eyes closed. Ning Cheng understood that this should be the Boundless Palace's Tao right. A Tao right was different from a public square. A public square could be used as a Tao right, but a Tao right wasn't necessarily a public square. This Tao right was obviously a top-grade Tao right with perfect laws. Everything around him also looked very natural, giving people a feeling of blending in with heaven and earth. Ning Cheng liked bamboo forests, so he found an empty spot next to a bamboo forest not far away and sat down. The Tao charm of this Tao right was very clear, so Ning Cheng didn't sit for long before he immersed himself in the surrounding Tao charm. An hour later, a gentle and clear voice rang out in his ears. Ning Cheng opened his eyes and saw a middle-aged man suspended in the air above a field of sunflowers. The middle-aged man wore blue robes and a Saint Emperor crown on his head. He had a gentle smile on his face. This must be Feng Xian. He really looked like a celestial being. Ning Cheng didn't think that Feng Xian was this gentle. His red phoenix eyes gave people a feeling of decisiveness and killing intent. As for his cultivation, Ning Cheng vaguely felt that he should be an expert beyond Tao fusion. Dang, ding, ding. 3 bell sounds rang out, and a ripple-like Tao charm law swept across the entire Tao right. Ning Cheng felt a cool breeze blowing past him, and his whole body relaxed. The aura of the Tao charm law around him became even clearer. Ning Cheng secretly thought that this should be the most famous Tao awakening bell of the Boundless Palace that Mang Yong mentioned. Feng Xian stretched out his hand in the void and then said with a smile, "The world's great Tao, hundreds of millions of chants, thousands of Tao bodies, complex and indescribable. However, I believe that the world's simplest path is the Tao. Thousands of Taos, all for longevity." Without a word of nonsense, he directly started discussing the Tao. After listening to a few words, Ning Cheng deeply agreed. Feng Xian made it sound simple. After listening to Feng Xian's Tao discussion, it was the most appropriate time to enjoy the great heaven fruit. Some people put away the great heaven fruit and didn't eat it immediately. Ning Cheng took out a jade box and put the God Spirit fruit into it. At this moment, the jade card in his hand lit up and a message appeared on the jade card, welcoming rogue cultivator Ning Cheng to the Boundless Palace to participate in the trade feast. Ning Cheng smiled and stood up. His Pillheart Spirit Ganoderma fruit had really gotten him a place to participate in the trade fair. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.